Opening of the chapter, our protagonist stated, "Even villains have a class. There are some people who punish the main character by making them suffer until the end, while others disappear after catching the main character's ankle unnecessarily. A loopy and irritating, and it is not even a threat at all. Our main character was a nerd. She sat in front of an altar. In the background, people can be heard insulting her. One person said, she, the daughter of Baek Ryuikong? She bothered Baek Ryuikong so much during his lifetime, but she still cried and called out to her father. Another person chimed, she is the folding of trash that has not changed. Our main protagonist looked up at the altar. Tears clouded her eyes. She thought, just like jewels that shines brighter if there is a trash next to it, a villainous supporting actor who has no influence whatsoever to make the main character stand out. The sudden death brought back memories of her previous life. She bit her lips and thought, why is this novel, at this point? Is it very similar to the martial arts novel she read in the past? The teach of the main character of the novel, Namgung Ryuchong, and the fourth young master of the Baekri family, one of the 10 greatest martial arts families. And a holy victim who awakens the main character whom only she did not know. Suddenly, a jade cup shattered into pieces. The main character retreated her hand, trembling, looking at the broken cup. She thought, it was weird. It must have been years since she read a novel. If she remembered the future development clearly. In the novel, the father's death signaled a slaughter rampant for about 10 years, and the character died. People in the background started whispering among themselves how the main character broke the glass. Another person added, she brought bad luck at the funeral, while another one said, and she does not have martial arts qualities either. Hearing those scrutiny, she felt even more unease. The next scene, someone was running in the dark night, with only the full moonlights as the guide. The person running away thought, let's run away. No one will even know there is a quiet villain like her. She kept telling herself to run away, keep running. Forget the original story and start a new life. Suddenly, a light flashed right across her. What she saw was an upright scene that was turned sideways, as she tried to make sense of what just happened. We saw a man, muttering, what a disappointment as he approached the fallen body on the ground. He said, Baekri's daughter is like this. The main character, questioning why, as she laid on the pile of blood. Her pupil reflected a pair of legs walking towards her. She thought, if there is a trash-level villain like her, there is also a dark side that is the villain's biggest enemy in life. The man leaned down and asked if she is curious. Just as he was about to explain, the main character's eyes went black, unable to hear anything. She died, so in vain. Someone shouted, hurt. I'm so hurt. While in the background, cursing words can be heard vividly. A daughter is so useless. The same, hurtful voice continued. I'm hurt, father. I'm so hurt. Please help me. A little face jolted awake from the nightmares. Briefly, scanning the room, she questioned if she was back from the nightmare. Didn't she die? Her eyes softened when she felt a large, warm hand gently holding her hand. She looked at the person beside her. His face is gentle, but full of worries. Tears formed around his eyes, worried about her. She noticed he was Baek Ryuikong. She called out, Father? She did not know if she was dead? Is that why she is reminiscing? Her father was admired by many women for his handsome appearance, but as a teacher in charge of the protagonist's spiritual growth, he had a strong and righteous personality that was different from his appearance. Because of that personality, the main character only saw her father's tear during their time together. The father's tears streamed down his beautiful face like a river and spoke gently that he is sorry. He should have kept her by his side. The main character thought it was the same thing as her memory. She smiled softly and thought, well, it probably is because she was reminiscing. She pleaded, Father, no, Dad, don't cry. It was the first time she had seen her father so flustered, even though they had been together for several years. She remembers her relationship with him only deteriorated as she grew older. The little girl turned the other side, wiping her tears. She did not even remember the way he smiled, let alone his surprised face. She does not even remember what his face was at the end. He was a very nice person. The main character is not worth it. Why did he sacrifice himself? Although he was a character in a novel, he was very clumsy, but he was always sincere to her. She realized it only when he passed away. Her father, feeling more flustered when she cried and wiped her tears. In her past life and present life, he was the only person who did everything for her. After letting out her emotions, she pushed herself up and told him she was sorry for all these times. She turned to look at him sincerely and told him she loves him. At this point, she does not care whether she was reminiscing or whether it is a dream or hell. What does it matter? She finally did what she wanted to do. That was all. He looked so surprised and she was content. She laughed to herself, ha ha. He looked so surprised. Now she can finally close her eyes comfortably. But she fell into a warm, secure embrace. She felt like she is choking. Why does it feel so real? It is the refreshing scent of her father, just like in her memory. The father spoke cheerfully. He thought that she was resentful of him, but it was not at all. He is sorry. All these times, he did not know her heart until now. It was because he was not good enough. Her father kept apologizing, saying sorry to her. This caused her to feel confused. Even in a dream, it is too vivid. Is she reminiscing? Did she really go back in time? Can she be loved this time? Our main protagonist sat up on the bed, pale-looking, with dark bags under the eyes, like she just woke up from a long coma. She jerked up fully. When she heard someone shouted, "Lady!" Looking at the source of the voice came a maid, who seemed like she hated her job. The maid, holding the water basin, yelled loudly, "Wake up!" The maid is Tang Jiam, who is serving our main protagonist, Baek Ri-yun. Maid, Tang Jiam said, "She is washing water. Baek Ri-yun don't need to be served, right?" Baek Ri-yun nodded vehemently that she does not need to be served. The maid sneered at Baek Ri-yun and slammed the door shut. Baek Ri-yun sighed and muttered, "What's the fuss in the morning?" Outside the door, she could hear the maid complain loudly. That. She, referring to Baek Ri-yun, can't hear, no matter how many times the maid called. That Baek Ri-yun just sits on the bed, blankly all day. Didn't she die and come back to life and become an idiot? It will be a shock. She's called internal pained invalid. Baek Ri-yun sighed and thought, I can hear it all. The maid continued, who can even use an elixir for an incapable person? Baek Ri-yun lives in a shabby room with minimal decoration. The atmosphere where everyone despised her. She finally came into term that she is truly back. There was something wrong in martial arts training, where the energy inside the body was not controlled. Miraculously, her life was saved, but the center of gathering energy was shattered. She clenched her chest and still feel pain. She had returned to the point where she became a crippled person who could not use martial arts for the rest of her life. The Baek Ri family is a reputable family of the political faction. Baek Ri Pei Hyok, the head of the Baek Ri family, had 3 wives and 4 children. Among them, the youngest master, born by his 3rd wife, is said to be a talent once in 100 years. He has a beautiful appearance and is gentle, but has an upright personality that does not put up with injustice. From the perfect inside and outside to martial arts. Baek Ri-yun coughed proudly, that is her father, Baek Ri-yikong. Baek Ri-yun got down and walked to the water basin. She is the child her father suddenly brought as his daughter one day. She leaned forward to the basin and saw her reflection in the water basin and thought, wow, she looked like a sick person. Naturally, when she was brought back, the house was turned upside down. A daughter of an unmarried son, moreover, she is an illegitimate child whose mother's origin is unknown. Her grandfather, who had high expectations, was very angry, but her father's stubbornness could not be broken. It was the moment when a child, no one wanted, was enrolled in the Baek Ri family. At that time, she thought her father did not like her either. But now, she thought, it is okay as it is not too late. With those small hands, she scooped the water to wash her face, while thinking, there are more than 10 years left until the incident of her father's death. Therefore, she wanted to save him. This time, Baek Ri-yun paced around, in front of the door, frustrated and scared. What if she came all the way here and get nervous? She mustered enough courage and told herself to calm down. She already completed the first step, which she told him, she loves him. Even though it is embarrassing, but she have to save her father, and herself should live too. She continued to self-encourage that she can do it. Something embarrassing to death can't really kill her. Yun, you woke up. Her father called. She pushed the door all the way, looking flushed and stiffed. She coughed shyly before running towards her father. But she tripped on a bamboo book that was on the floor and plunged forward, face down towards the floor. Arg. She's falling. Reality did not happen as imagined. Just as she thought she was going to hit the floor, her father caught her. He told her not to run in the room. She felt embarrassed to death, trying to say something to him, but noticed his sunken eyes. She thought she tripped on something and fell. Then she saw books, scrolls, pills, medicines on the floor. A bamboo book? No, all these were, she realized. He stayed up all night trying to heal her. Seeing her expression, the father asked, "What's wrong? Is she not feeling well?" She looked up to him, extended her arms up for an embrace, and asked him to give her a hug. With a warm and big smile, she asked her father, "Aren't you going to hug me?" It surprised her father, but he picked her up anyways while showing a shy expression. A stiff body with an awkward posture, she thought. It felt uncomfortable. It was obvious to her that he has never hugged a child before. But she is no different. Throughout her life, she have never once hugged her father either. Her father asked if she slept well last night. She answered, yes. He asked if she is feeling all right. She answered, yes. He looked away, shyly, and told her not to put up with the pain, and if she has a fever, make sure to tell him. Seeing his expression, she agreed and leaned closer to his chest. Her father said he will send her some medicines. She cringed. Arg. Next, she had a meal and saw her back in bed, drinking a bowl of medicine while being supervised by her father, who smiled gently. Then she saw a doctor and got treated. Her father was beside throughout the process. Afterward, she took more medicine, slept a bit, and was given even more medicine. She probably have took every kind of precious medicine in the world. After some times, she woke up. She had fallen asleep while receiving treatment. Yun asked where her father is. Annoyed, the doctor sneered, "Tsh." The third young master really did a useless thing and left. Yun asked the doctor to wait, but was left with a shut door, leaving her unable to make sense of the attitude. She took herself out and walked through the courtyard. The yard is oddly quiet. Her residence with her father is at the far west corner of the Bakery Manor. Her father's original courtyard was somewhere else, but when he brought her back to the family, grandfather said he hated to even look at the father and kicked them out to the farthest, most isolated courtyard. She came closer to the corner and heard commotion of everyone trying to gather quickly. A person tried to hurry everyone. Another replied, he was sleeping so well. What's going on? A man replied to the other person, oh geez, since you always sleeping and napping, you wouldn't know. The head just returned a while ago. What? The head? Yeah, since a banquet will be held tonight, the madam has ordered to leave only half of the servants at the residence, while the remaining half must go to the main hall. Who will be going? The servants chattered among themselves. Yun listened to the commotion and thought, grandfather has returned? Bakery Pei Hyok, her grandfather is a man of great talent, who put the previous ordinary Bakery clan among the 10 great martial arts family. He usually go in seclusion all year long for training. When he does come out, he would immediately go on a trip, saying that he needs some fresh airs. Even in the past, when she lost control of her energy, grandfather was traveling. It then occurred to her, if he's already back from the trip. Damn it, it was today. With her frail, small body, she started running like her life depended on it. The incident that made grandfather really start to hate her and her father. It will be dangerous if she does not stop her father right now. Yun huffed and leaned against the wall to support her body. Damn it, she cursed. Her body still hasn't recovered. While trying to catch her breath, she overheard the servant talking about her, how her dantian was broken. Dantian is the core where the life force gathers. Even her origins are unknown. How useless and embarrassing. Yun tried to hold back and calmed herself. It's not the time for this. If she can't run, she'll just have to walk instead. Even though she is only a scumbag villainous extra in the novel, she had a past, which resulted in a fair probability for her to become a revenge-seeking villainess, and the incident of today only added to that probability. Yun used the wall to help support her as she took one step at a time. She is no longer a 6-year-old who knows nothing like the past her. She finally arrived at the gate, huffing, barely able to stand. The gate guard asked if she is all right. She replied that she was all right, but could barely completed the sentence without throwing a coughing fit. Seeing her continuous coughs, the guard told her he didn't think she was all right, and what brought her all the way there. Her dad. She could barely completed her word when a loud roar shook Yun and the guard. Don't be ridiculous. The bakery's head shouted, while Yui Kong continues to disappoint him like this? Why he has not gotten his senses together. Scared his wit off, the guard said nervously to Yun that she must be looking for the third young master. However, that, as she already heard, right now is not a good time to convey her message. The guard encouraged Yun to go back as it also seemed like her state is not good either. Yun looked behind the guard. That room, only the people approved by her grandfather can access it. People who are recognized by the family and hold important positions within the clan, and she did not meet the condition. Devastated, she has to figure something out. While racking her brain, someone yelled, "Is she Bakery Yun?" The voice. That voice belonged to Yun's father's half-sister, Bakery Yiran. The guard bowed and greeted Yiran. Yiran asked, "Why is Yun there? Did Yui Kong bring her here?" The guard told Yiran that Yun came alone. Alone? Yiran mocked. How can Yun came here? This is not a place where she can step foot in. The maids behind Yiran snickered. Yun remembered in her past life, she was terrified of crossing paths with her aunt. Even their eyes met, she always got angry, saying things like, "How dare Yun meet her eyes?" If Yun looked down, her aunt would reprimand why Yun is not looking at her. If she greeted, her aunt would ask who she is greeting. If she didn't greet, the aunt shouted why Yun was ignoring her. No matter Yun does, the aunt would come up with a bunch of excuses just to scold Yun. It first started with the verbal abuse, and eventually lead to physical abuse. In the past, Yun thought it was natural for her aunt to detest her, because she was a cripple who couldn't use martial arts even though she was a member of the bakery family. However, the person her aunt really detested was. Before Yun could complete her thought, Yiran shouted, "Why is Yun spacing out? Was Yun ignoring her because Yun's father is back?" Outsiders' point of view when they hear the aunt's voice, they thought Yun caused the problem because she was being too arrogant. Yun greeted her aunt that she is sorry. It has been a long time. She was unable to greet because her body is unwell and she started coughing, not by choice. She was sick. Yun thought she will not let the aunt's scolding slide anymore. Suddenly the people around saw that it was the aunt who was harassing her sick niece. Yun's sick body helped her this time. Flustered momentarily, the aunt countered, seeing how Yun came all the way here. Her body must have gotten better, right? Covering her mouth and clutching her chest, Yun thought of the best action choice. If she said she is no longer sick, her aunt will only nag a little, but if she said she is sick, she will be chased back to her abode. She stuttered that there is no one in her abode. She looked where everyone went, but it seems like they're busy. So she had no choice but to come alone. The household affairs and servant management is taken care of by her grandfather's second wife, her aunt's mother. The reason why the servants are lazy is because of second grandmother's connivance. So it's fine as long as grandfather doesn't hear about this. At this point, the yelling from behind the wall stopped. Grandfather is considered one of the greatest masters here, so he certainly hear it. The aunt talked that way because she knew he would hear it in the first place. The aunt almost exploded but held back her teeth, asking if Yun was mistaken. There is no way the servants would do that. Enough with the nonsense, and quickly go back, pointing her finger at Yun. Then a loud voice shouted, summoning Yiran to go in at once, and Bakery Yun too, which startled all of them outside the gate. The aunt glared at Yun, and Yun glared back. She is no longer at an age where she would fall for such petty tricks. Does the aunt know how old she is after adding up her age from the previous and current life? Yun thought. Inside the grandfather's abode, he sat majestically, exuding suppression aura all around, frightening the small, frail. Yun. She understood what people mean when they say her grandfather is able to kill people with his aura alone. She lifted her head up to see her father kneeling in front of her grandfather. Father. Her father turned around and saw her looking nervous. She knew the atmosphere isn't good. The grandfather shouted, "Why was Yiran there?" Yiran replied nervously, "Since her father has returned, as a daughter, she came to greet him." Greet him? Yiran's father questioned. The aunt used Yun as a distraction, asking Yun to pay her greeting together with aunt. Yun knew the game. Her aunt was using her to get her grandfather's attention. Yun and her aunt saluted her grandfather. The grandfather stared at them almost as if he was looking for any ulterior motives. He asked whether they are done greeting. Yiren answered, yes. Grandfather ordered his own daughter to leave, since he already saw her face. Surprised, Yiren asked, what? Her father said, did you not hear me? Nervously, Yiren denied, but proceeded to ask why her father was being that way. Her other older brother, whom was seen standing next to her father, shook his head silently, as he himself looked nervous at his idiot sister. The father asked, since when Yiren have the right to come into his room? Unhappy with her father's attitude towards her, she yelled, father. Angered, her father released his oars and shouted, is her attitude that of someone who possesses the last name Baekri? Yiren kowtowed on the ground and apologized that she was in the wrong. Her father crossed his arms and shook his head to the side, ignoring her. Yun, as a witness, thought, grandfather is famous for hating things being said twice. Yiren clenched her teeth and signaled her brother to help her. Her brother cleared his throat and chided, Yiren has probably realized her wrongs now. Yiren agreed readily that she made a mistake. Before she could finish, her father told her to shut her mouth. Leave with no choice, Yiren excused herself and left the room. After the door was closed shut, what remained was Yun and her father, whom was still kneeling on the ground, and those who were given permission to enter the room. Yun thought, if she said something out of line, she probably would end up like her aunt too. Suddenly, a boy asked if Yun is okay. Will she be okay to be wandering? His name is Baekri Myung, the son of Baekri Iimuk, whom was standing next to the patriarch. Yun's uncle Iimuk signaled his son to go to him and asked Yun to go over too. Iimuk was a benevolent character who received acknowledgement for his ability to do work impartially. Yun's impression of her cousin and the first grandson, Baekri Myung, and eldest uncle, Baekri Iimuk, looked exactly alike. Yun took steps forward, but not towards her uncle and cousin, but kneeled down right next to her father, causing everyone to be surprised. Yun knew that if she foolishly went at eldest uncle's side, she would have gotten an earful from grandfather. From what she saw in her past life during her father's funeral memorial, she overheard her eldest uncle and aunt talking about her father. The aunt said, cheerfully, she knew from the moment Kong acted arrogantly just because he could wield the sword slightly better. She knew he would hasten his death with his own hands. With no remorse, the eldest uncle replied to not make it too obvious. They just have to quietly secure their share. Yun knew their intentions are no different from ants. Yun suddenly clutched her head, almost falling out of balance. Her father was quick to come to her aid. He told her to stand up since the floor is cold. Yun thought, she is not physically well, it's hard to balance herself. Her father had already turned to plead with her grandfather that she is not feeling well, but her grandfather told him to shut up. He wanted to argue back, but felt a small tender hand resting on top of his hand, as assurance. Her grandfather noticed this small gesture as he observed both the child-parent pair. He asked Baekri Yun if she know why Yi Gang is kneeling in front of him. Yun replied that she does not know. Grandfather asked, if she don't know, then why is she kneeling? Yun gathered her thought and answered, she heard that before she was born, her father never disappointed grandfather. She figured that was her fault. The grandfather raised his hand to give a task. Since Yun speaks so well, and since she is present, he will ask her directly. A servant brought a gorgeous box over. Yun automatically knew what is in it. It was the 1,000-life gold elixir. A shiny golden pill nestled elegantly in the box. Yun's eldest uncle turned to her grandfather, surprised. Her cousin proudly volunteered to tell Yun about it, since it has not been long when Yun joined the family and would not know what the 1,000-life gold elixir is. Yun thanked him, but said it is okay. She has heard of it. It is a medicine that can revive even dead people, right? She asked. Grandfather nodded his head as he stroked his beard, while her cousin looked shocked. He applauded that she knows it well. Yun smiled and thought, he can't hide his expressions well, since he's young, very young. Then she thought, well, to be honest, she is not sure if she can hide her expression well either. Grandfather answered, she is right. It is an elixir that can revive a dying person with just this one pill. The recipe for this pill has disappeared, so there are not many left in the world. It's a pill that cannot be brought even with 1,000 gold, and he was only able to obtain it through serious luck. Then grandfather's tone changed to reprimanding that Kong asked for medication to cure her, pointing his finger at her. He asked, does she think she is that valuable? Yun's father was about to retort, but she patted his hand to back down and replied a firm yes. Yun replied, yes, but she does not need it now. She learned a lesson from dying twice. She constantly apologizes. I'm sorry, always bowing down to people. Even if she put herself down, others will only look down on her. She remembers comments made by others, how a worthless thing like her is clinging onto them. Looking at the level of Kong's child, it is obvious what kind of person Kong is. Yun now knows that putting herself down is no different than putting her father down, and that'll only make it harder for her father to protect her. She cannot do the same in this life. With a firm resolve, Yun said if she can ask the people here something. Grandfather gave permission to go ahead. Yun asked if the 1,000 gold elixir can fix her chi center. Her question stunned everyone. She added, since she thought about it, she has never heard of such case. But it is the 1,000 life gold elixir? Yun saw her father's solemn expression. She guessed that he had the same thought as her. The 1,000 life gold elixir's fame, its impressiveness is not false, but reviving a dying person and fixing a shattered chi center are two different things. She knows the medicine should be used properly for each individual effect. It's not like her illness is fatal. In her past life, her father managed to obtain the 1,000 life gold elixir from grandfather. But, contrary to what her father hoped for, her chi center did not get better. The medicine had some effect. The internal wounds that resulted from the chi berserk did get better, but the most important thing, the shattered chi center, remained the same. She looked up to her father and told him, she is fine. She is happy just being able to be with him, like this. In her past life, her father received so much hate because an ill-stricken trash became a healthy trash. Yun had the urge to cough, but if she coughs right now, all her effort would be pointless, so she tried holding in her coughs. Seeing the Yun's filial devotion is beyond expectation, grandfather asked Kong what he thought of Yun's words. Yun patted her father's hand, looked at him, and gave him a reassurance glance. He smiled warmly at her, but his thought has not changed. How could he, a father, give up, even if there was even the slightest bit of hope? Yun, stunned and devastated. All her hard work was just ruined. Will this cause her father and grandfather relationship to be ruined again? Grandfather sighed, messaged his temple. His son is as stubborn as a mule. He told them both to stand up, which shocked both Yun and her father. They looked at each other to confirm they heard it right. Yun thanked God. It doesn't seem like grandfather is mad. Their father-son relationship is still okay. Yun's father reached to pull her up, but Yun lost her balance and collapsed. She felt like a curtain has been drawn. She can't hear well. She felt ticklish while coughing. Yun saw blood on her small hand. Could it be she sat on the cold floor too long and threw up blood? That's really ridiculous, she thought, and lost consciousness completely. Her father kept shouting her name, but she was not responding. In a well-decorated room, Yun's father sat beside her, worried about her condition. He asked, why won't she wake up? Yun, a young, beautiful man, in ivory gown and sword, kneeled down in front of a small child. Even she, who grew up in the streets living on trash, knew that the man was someone hard to come by in those streets. And he was someone who shouldn't have any reason to pay interest in her. He asked, your name is Yun of an unknown character, right? I've come to pick you up. I'm your father. She was scared when she first took his hand, but in the end, she was unable to hide her excitement. However, back at the bakery home, when she crossed the gate, her excitement shattered. You useless trash, jolted Yun awake. She panted heavily, still haunted by those harsh, hateful words. Yun, her father called as he tried to support her. Still huffing, she asked where they are. He told her to not move, and how is she feeling? She said she is fine, but her head hurts a little, and there is nothing more. After carefully observing that she was fine, he suddenly felt angry and reprimanded. Why did she come here? He told her to be careful. Afraid of him being upset, she apologized that she is wrong. Grandfather asked, what did she do wrong? Kong said to his father that Yun woke up. Grandfather replied, if someone saw them, they would think he is bullying her. And, remember they are in his residence. Kong quickly apologized. Grandfather replied lazily, whatever. Yun was surprised that she is in grandfather's residence hall, the White Protection Hall. Another man came in, carrying a medicine tray. Yikong thanked him for running the errand himself. The man replied, he just got it from the worker out front. He is grandfather's right-hand man and aide, Jiang Sukriang. The man smiled gently at Yun. Yun has never interacted with him in her previous life. While being distracted, her father put the medicine cup in her hands. She dreaded drinking medicines. Yikong encouraged Yun and told her not to worry. Suktae said it wouldn't be that bitter. Surprised, Suktae? She confirmed. He was the former imperial doctor. She was treated by him before in the previous life, but it happened much later than this. She does not know what is happening. Yikong explained, Suktae is a doctor her grandfather urgently called over for her. Yun was surprised that grandfather did that. Her father added that grandfather even checked up on her while he was unconscious. He said that she should remain at his residence and receive treatment during the 3 days that he's here. Grandfather's residence, no other family member has stayed before, not even her eldest uncle, Bekri Iimuk and grandson, Bekri Myung. Yun thanked her grandfather for the treatment. He said there is no need to thank him. If she is sick, she should say she is sick. If she does not, who is going to know? Yikong was so touched by his father's words. Grandfather glanced at the cute and small Yun. He told his son to take care of her, so he don't have to see a corpse being cleaned up after in the Bekri family. Both daughter and father sighed, looking at the old man leaving. Yikong told Yun that even though grandfather spoke like that, he cares for her a lot. Yun asked her father if he will be staying in the White Protection Hall too. He nodded, that's right. He can't trust anyone else. She pumped her fist, feeling very good and happy. She put all the event together. Entering the White Protection Hall, an aide appears, Suktae fast arrival. If she thinks about it, all of these are good signs. If it's like this, maybe she can look forward to the relationship between the two of them. Her father called her name in a calm voice. She noticed the difference. He asked, why did she hide it? Confused about the specifics, since she hides many things. The father added, the servant's cruel acts, which she endured. She remembers when she was in front of the White Protection Hall talking to the gate guard and her aunt. Since grandfather heard it, her father must have heard it too. She comforted that it is fine when he is around. Her father said, they look down on her. She remained silent as acquiesced. Upset, Yun's father said, today, she collapsed in front of people, but if she happened to collapse alone, He clenched his fist, unable to finish the rest. Once she regained her composure, she saw her father's red eyes. Her father stood up and said this won't do. He will have to bring this up to mother. Yun almost spit blood and stopped him. Her father replied, mother should know about this incident too. What does she think will happen if mother finds out through rumors? Yun cried silently. If grandmother's mood is ruined, her father's honor would fall even further. Father is already a thorn in her eyes. She looked at her father, his eyes that resemble a tall bamboo. He probably knows that he is being hated by grandmother, but still, since it was the right thing to do, he wanted to report anyway. Yun replied, there is no point to report. This is something that cannot be solved with just grandmother punishing the servants. Yun's father replied, of course. She explained her viewpoint. If grandma punishes them, things will only look better on the outside, but will they truly acknowledge their wrongdoings? Will it end when the inner house servants are punished? What about the ones outside? Did they not know that the servants have been disregarding her? She added, the problem won't be fixed until grandfather accepts her. Yun's father looked stunned, while grandfather seemed like he's contemplating the meaning of Yun's statement. Outside the door, grandfather and his right-hand aide, Jiang Sukriang, stood on each side of the door, eavesdropping into the daughter-father pair. Yun's father asked if she resented her grandfather. She replied sharply, no. Her father said she does not have to lie. Yun scratched her cheek and said, she really does not hate him. She understands her grandfather. Grandfather is mad at her because grandfather loves her father. She scratched the back of her head while laughing nonchalantly and said, it would be weirder if grandfather was not mad at her existence. She thought to herself, there is no system that proves blood relation in their world. She imitated that of her grandfather and said, things happened. So what if you had a kid outside? It's nice that I now have a granddaughter. Then asked her father if that is what her grandfather said. it would be even weirder. Jiang Sukriang laughed, while grandfather gave him the frustrated death stares. Yun's father shouted that she is just 6 years old. How could she said such a thing? His eyes widened, seeing Yun jumped onto his laps, hugging him tightly. She spoke contently that she will try harder and grandfather will acknowledge her. She thought. The novel never said anything about how grandfather thought of her father, but in reality, just like her own relationship with her father, their relationship only worsened. But she remembers it clearly. From her past life, her grandfather's bloodshot eyes at her father's funeral was enough. With that alone, it was enough for her to see grandfather in a positive light. Rain kept falling nonstop outside, drenching everything. Yun woke up to the sound of rain. She noticed the window was propped open, which caused the rain to drip inside, wetting the windowsill and table by the window. Still sick, herself, she thought, that needs to be wiped. Yun thought, the treatment she received at the White Protection Hall was too different. She hasn't said anything, and her every need was taken care of. For examples, servants brought warm water to wash her face. Tea, water, they have it all. The servants were friendly and spoke respectably to her. Now, she is back at her abode, and she dreaded. Her head hurts, she wants to sleep a little longer. Yun was awakened to someone complaining loudly about how annoyed they are. She sat up and thought, what is up with the fussing? The maid yelled loudly from the hallway, how it hurts like hell when she walk. And all this is because. Another maid exclaimed for Dang Jiam to not talk so much. Both, conversing loudly. Yun's head was ringing. Dang Jiam. That was her handmaiden. Did she eat a foghorn or something? Walking outside, Dang Jiam complained loudly. It's so absurd. She must think she is really part of the Baekri family. How dare she go to the central hall? The other maid replied, the family had heard it. So what could he have done? Chundul was hit 20 times and is still lying on his stomach. Compared to him, Dang Jiam is doing way better. Dang Jiam shouted angrily. What's better? Then asked, so Chundul is resting? The other maid replied, of course, he got hit 20 times. How can he work? He probably won't be able to move for a week. Yun looked like she wanted to disappear from all those commotions. Eventually, the two maids went farther away. Yun finally breathed a sigh of relief, thinking the maids are finally far away from her room. She laid back down and thought, now she can finally be able to go back to sleep. And the door was knocked open. Dang Jiam yelled loudly, young lady, you're awake. Yun looked like she wanted to die. Even a sleeping person would have woken up from that. Yun sat up gloomily and said she woke up a while ago. How could she not with all the fussing? Yun stated that it's raining outside. Dang Jiam lifted her skirt and stepped on the bed with her dirty shoes and commanded Yun to look at her leg. She got hit with a can, so her calves are all torn up. Dang Jiam questioned deafeningly, why did Yun go to the central hall? She accused Yun for being the culprit, that's why she got hit. Yun looked like she finally snapped. Why is it her fault? She stated, it was because Dang Jiam was lazy. Dang Jiam was momentarily taken aback. She has been carefully observing how Yun was looked down upon in the family. And why now she's talking back? Yun scowled. How could Yun say such a thing? How disappointed would the third young master be if he found out how cruel Yun is? Her head is ringing. Yun had no time for this. She told Dang Jiam to fill up the teapot and take a rest. Dang Jiam snorted, as expected. Yun is a low-born kid who cannot do anything without her. She asked, isn't Yun old enough to fill up the teapot on her own? If Yun keep acting immaturely, it'll be hard for her. Yun frowned, and then the scene was interrupted when another maid came running in. Young lady, Chief Go has come to visit. Surprise, surprise. Tons of gifts, antique products, vase, books, furniture, and many, many more gifts were presented to Yin and her father. They looked at all the gifts speechless. Chief Go, the finance manager of the Baekri family, told Yin that this is a gift from the family head. The family head usually gives presents like this to family members after going on a trip. This action surprised the servants. They whispered among themselves, family head? They thought he was just letting her stay only? Yin thought, is this grandfather's declaration? She was exiled here, but she should still be served like direct descendant. She did not think he would go this far. Chief Go said hand the white fur and told Yin that it is good in quality. He recommended not doing much to it and instead turn it into a scarf. Yian's father asked Chief Go relay a message to his father that he is sorry for being unfilial and that he is very grateful for this favor, but he will only accept his father's heart. Yian frowned. What? Her father continued. It's a little burdensome for Yian and him to accept such a precious thing. Yian screamed inwardly, Father, how could you reject this? This is grandfather's way of trying to make amends. Chief Go chuckled and told them to not worry. He came here after giving others their gift as well. Is there a reason why young lady Yian can't receive something that young lady remade? More than that, Chief Go tried to bait them. He said these are medicinal herbs. It's hard to attain these even if you pay a large sum of money. This is a 50-years-old fleece flower, and this is ginseng. And there are many more herbs that will help with energy recovery. Yian's father looked so tempted and finally got sold. Yian looked at her father, like, seriously, Dad. Her father readily accepted the presents and medicines. Chief Go cheered. He knew it. Yian's father apologetically said Chief Go knows him too well. Chief Go answered, he watched Ekong grew up, so, of course, he knows. He then said he almost forgot one thing and presented a familiar-looking box. Yian mouth twitched, no way. Chief Go presented. The box is the 1,000-life gold elixir that the family had sent. The head said they can do whatever they want with it. It shocked both Yian and her father. Yian thought, to think grandfather gifted her the elixir, was grandfather testing her? And her father hasn't said anything either. She thought her father would urge her to eat it right away, but how unexpected. Her ear was directed towards a source of noise. She looked at the door and saw her two maids fighting for an item. Dang Jiam finally snatched the item from the other maid. Yian couldn't utter anything. Dang Jiam asked the other maid what is wrong. Is she not allowed to look at it? She asked Yian. It's okay, right? Yian knew Dang Jiam is greedy. In the past life, she would always tell Yian how much her father hates her, then gradually steal the presents her father gave her, and spread rumors that she did not like them and threw them away. Before she could even finish reminiscing of the past, Dang Jiam snatched the jade insignia. Greedily looking at the jade insignia, she praised how good it looks. The other maid told her, no. Dang Jiam turned to Yian, beg, young lady, please give me this jade insignia. Since Yian have so many, surely she can spare one, right? And she got punished because of Yian. So Yian should give the jade to her as consolation. Yian smiled and thought, even when she went back in time, Dang Jiam is still the same. She replied, wait a minute. But Dang Jiam assumed it was a yes, didn't listen nor bother to hear the rest from Yian. Dang Jiam proclaimed the jade insignia ecstatically. Yian thought, grandfather went that far, but nothing's changed. Suddenly, Yian's father called her excitingly. The medicinal herbs his father sent are definitely better. They better use it to make medicine for her. Will that be all right with her? Yian replied, of course, he can use it without asking her. Her father said she was the one who received it, so she should decide. Yian stated that there is no such thing between them, but father, Dang Jiam asked if she could have the jade insignia. Can she give it to Dang Jiam? Pointing to the handmaid. What? Her father looked appalled. Dang Jiam thought, shit, I'm screwed. Yian replied innocently, Dang Jiam said she wants it in return for getting punished because of Yian. But these are all presents from grandfather, right? She doesn't think she can just give them away like this. Her father questioned sternly, what is the meaning of this? Dang Jiam got punished because of his daughter? Dang Jiam anxiously remedied the situation by shifting the blame to Yian. Young lady, what are you saying? She has never said that. When did she say that? With an innocent and cute expression, Yian replied, you did say that though. You said since I have so many, I could spare you one. And that you got punished because of me. Since the morning you said you couldn't work because it hurt. Young lady, Dang Jiam shouted anxiously. Maddening aura enshrouded the room and Yian's father commanded the maid to lower her voice. Glaring dagger at the maid, he instructed, Yian may be young, but she is someone Dang Jiam serve. How dare she raise her voice? Dang Jiam kneeled down and admitted her mistakes. She committed a sin that warrants death. Yian's father did not budge and still staring dagger at the maid. His brows narrowed sharply, full of anger. Dang Jiam trembled in fear of the consequences. Yian's father's expression has not changed a bit. Tears formed on Dang Jiam's eyes, uncertain of what her fate will be like. She continued to tremble in fear. His fist clenched tightly and finally let out a sigh and determined a punishment for her. He announced the verdict. She acted so arrogantly that he cannot turn a blind eye. She will remain kneeling in that position until the sun goes down. And you. To the other maid, he ordered her to watch Dang Jiam and make sure she properly serves her punishment. The other maid accepted the order. Yian's father lifted her up and stormed off, slamming the door shut, leaving the servants trembling in fear. The whole time, he had a sour expression, heading all the way to his residence. She sat on the bed, watching her father pace back and forth thinking of what to ask. He then finally asked, "Does her maid usually act like that?" Then he took his question back and told her to forget it. He put his hands on her shoulder and spoke directly to her, that she has no need to feel guilty over this incident. The maid was punished because she was negligent towards her duties. Does she understand his message? She nodded her head that she understood. With a guilty look, her father said in order for this to not happen again. She can see guilt in his expression. It was the first time she saw him like this. She finally understands. Her father was too busy trying to keep her alive that he did not have time to pay attention to her surroundings. She thought, they both are such a clumsy child-parent pair. That is all the more reason why she wanted to live a happy life with her father this time. "Young master," a servant interrupted them. His name is Eon Du, her father's servant. He spoke through the door and reported that he has organized all of the presents that the family had gifted. Where should he place them? Her father told the servant to leave the medicinal herbs in his residence and place the rest in Yian's. Then he retracted his words. He turned to Yian and told her, no matter how much he thought about it, he is concerned. She waited for him to say more, but he just looked at her hesitantly, battling within himself how he should put things into word. She thought anxiously, what is it? What is he about to say, and how serious is it for him to be hesitating? Finally, he asked, why don't she stay with him in his residence? Pardon? She asked. A little flustered, he replied, only if she is okay with it. He is not forcing her. He reasoned, his residence is big, so he should be able to prepare a room for her right away. Usually a child stays with their parents until they turn 10. Although their residences are close and barely apart from one another, it is still in different buildings. Normally, at her age, one should be living with their parents. He just thought when she first came, she felt awkward with him, so he asked for a different residence. Yeondu stood at the door speechless at his young master. Yian was so shocked, for it was the first time she saw her father talk so much. Her father thought, no matter how he thought of it, he thinks it would be best for them to live together. The closer they are, the better, so he can look out for her. And since her body isn't in good condition either. Yian thought, goddamn, he is not done yet? If this goes on, her father's rap won't end. Her father continued, there are a lot of pros, so even if she felt awkward with him. Yian said loudly, okay. Her father paused to make sure he heard it right. He asked, you're okay with it? She replied, yes. She liked the idea. He smiled brilliantly, picked her up, and brought her to his embrace excitingly. He thanked her for agreeing. He had the happiest smile while hugging her. To her, she is not really sure. Her father was considered a strong master in Mirim, but to feel so anxious as he asked his daughter about her thoughts. But, regardless, her heart feels ticklish. Her father began to glow upon hearing her words and ordered his servant to prepare a room for her. His warm embrace, his happiness glow, made her very, very happy. That day she thought she could smile the entire day. In another residence, we can hear angry complaints. She thought, how absurd. It hasn't been long since mother gave a punishment, and yet he gave one again? People have started to talk about it. How the lady of the house's actions wasn't enough such that Baek Yi Kong got angry at a servant again. Yiren complained angrily. Yi Kong is ruining mother's reputation. Is her mother going to leave him be? Yiren questioned. Her mother, lady of the Baekri family, named Sundan, who told her to not be so rash. It was not like he hit her or kicked her out. He simply made a rude servant kneel. It would be foolish of her to get involved. Unhappy of the mother's decision, Yiren asked if her mother was just going to leave him be. The white fur she wanted was given to their household. Yiren told her mother that it was obvious that father is giving Yian attention. What if Yi Kong becomes the family head at this rate? Yiren's mother asked her to bring Pyo and Ok. Her kids? She confirmed. That, right? Yiren said it has not been long since they've gone to visit her husband's family. There is no other choice. Yiren's reputation will be protected in front of her kids, replied the mother. Plus, if those kids are here, the head will forget about that cripple who cannot even learn martial arts. Please leave a comment of 3 words or more for part 2. Please support this channel by subscribing, and subscribe for more videos and faster release. Yin, sitting on her father's embrace, told the carbs to eat a lot. She seemed to enjoy spending times with her father. After moving to his residence, she is now living a life where her feet does not touch the ground. She felt awkward. To be protected every day by her dependable father. It's something she would have never dreamed of in her previous life. What is the matter? He asked, noticing her hugging him tightly. Are you cold? She replied, no. She is just happy. Stone-face, her father does not know how to take in the happiness expression of his daughter. Yin looked like she wanted to tease him. In her first life, she would have been scared seeing that expression. But now, she knew what it meant. Her father is the type who tenses up when feeling shy. She giggled happily to herself while the stone-faced father blushed. While strolling, they overheard someone shouted, "Why are you all getting knocked out already? Is this all the powerful Bekri family amounts to?" Next, somebody stepped forward, demanded the voice. Yin and her father walked towards the source of the shouting to see what's all the commotion. There is quite a fuss in the training hall, said Yin's father. They can hear more fussing as they approached the training hall. What's this? Why isn't anyone stepping forwards? No one? Yin seemed to recognize the voice. Could it be? Down the training hall, 2 boys who have a striking resemblance, taunting people. One boy said conceitedly, "You cowards," while the other pointed his finger. You. And you. Yin noticed they are the twins, Bekri Pyo and Soak. A boy pointed his finger at him, and the next boy next to him and asked if the twins were referring to him, while the boy next to him looked nervous. Yin gasped, "Why are they appearing now?" Bekri Yiren's twin sons, as well as her cousins, Soak and Bekri Pyo. The reason they have different surnames is because of the promise Bekri Yiren and her husband made when they got married. A flashback of her aunt in red wedding dress. Aunt said when her husband them have children, let's have one of the children take the husband's surname, and the other will take her surname to be raised as a child of the Bekri family. She thought this is a golden opportunity to position their children as successors to the 2 families. Yin thought, was it because of that promises that Yiren gave birth to twins? And nicely split them into the 2 families' registers? She looked nervously at the twins, and her father also noticed her anxiousness. One twin said, "Don't go easy on them," while the other demanded for the other boys to bring it on. Yun thought that it makes it much stranger, and why are the twins appearing now, when they should be at their other family's home? She watched one twin lunge towards his opponent. The opponent looked nervous about the attack coming from the twin. The twin laughed at the opening presented to him. Yin and his father watched the fight, which came to a quick end, with the twin boy winning. I lost. The opponent boy acknowledged his loss. Wow, 3 cheers for the young master. Praised by the audience. Yin asked her father what he thought of their skills. Her father sighed and answered, their technique is good, but they lack a stable foundation. Their cores are unstable. There won't be anything to gain from such a spar, but it occurred to them that she knew them. He asked how did she know those children were her cousins? She has never met Pyo and Ak before, right? Oops. Her cover was almost blown. She reasoned that well, who else her age could ask the powerful Bekri family's disciples for a spar? Moreover, seeing as there were 2 children who looked the same, she knew they were the twins, brother Bekri Pyo and brother Soak. He nodded and said she is quite observant. She is correct. They're her twin cousins. His sister brought them from their father's home a few days ago. She thought, phew, that white lies worked out well. She asked, are they supposed to have been brought back from the So family? Her father does not know. One of the cocky twins asked why the disciples are so boring. Seems like no one can beat his twin brother. The other twin brother answered conceitedly, he knows. How boring it. Yin thought, she was tormented so much by these 2 in her previous life, she'll have to be careful not to bump into them. It felt like the wound from getting hit by them from her last life still hurts. She frowned at the thought. Since that day, she decided to cut back on her walks. What is that? Asked Yin's father. Ugh. Yian thought of the twins she was staying in to avoid running into them. She showed her work to her father and replied, "It's embroidery." She was bored, so she has been practicing it. "I see. Is it a cloud?" he asked. "It's a pear blossom," she replied. They both shared an awkward moment. Her father cleared his throat and said, "Since she is bored, then, what about learning how to write?" Wow, he changed the subject, she thought. Her father said the teacher will be him. He will teach? Yian asked. He will? Of course. Why didn't he think of this earlier? Her father exclaimed excitingly. He asked how much have she learned so far? Shocked, she couldn't answer. There is no way she remembers the characters she learned 10 years ago. Huh? Oh, I wasn't able to meet the writing teacher a few times, so. She answered nervously and a little shameful. Still, her father wasn't upset. Still with the same excited smile, he replied, "It's all right. She can just learn from the beginning again." He patted her small head and told her, "There are plenty of time." She had a set of writing brushes and ink. Her father asked her to write the words she remembers. She complained, "Ugh, it's hard." He gently encouraged that it's like that at first. Yian seemed to be concentrating really hard, which her father found really funny. He held in his laughs and told himself repeatedly to not laugh. She can sense his emotions from behind her, and though, "Father, you can just laugh." She thought, what should she write? Still covering his mouth, her father sneak peeked at what she had so far, and to his surprise, he asked, "Isn't that my name?" Yian exclaimed excitingly, "Yes, that's right," and silently praised him. "Wow, good job, father. How was he able to read this?" Father's love for her is. Before she could complete her thought, she saw tears streaming down his face. He said, despite not being able to be by her side, she still remembered the name of this father of hers first. He felt so touched. Stunned, she thought, he's crying? Wait, father, were you always this emotional? Yian felt flustered. What should she do? She hasn't comforted him in both her lives. With her small hand, she patted his head and asked, "Father, why you are tearing up with just this? I'll write it many, many times for you. And I'll write better things too, all right?" She comforted him. Accepted her comfort, he pulled her into his arms. She reciprocated with a big hug. Then her father told her she must not stand on a chair. He lifted her from the chair to the ground as it's less dangerous being on the ground. Yes, she agreed. She is not sure if he was overprotective or he is just too upright. A servant asked, Third young master, are you there?" Yian and her father turned to the servant. The servant said, "The patriarch has asked for him to join the patriarch for supper at the protection hall. Patriarch also requested that the young miss also be in attendance." The other children, too, seeing the condition of the third young master, she realized she may have overstepped. She didn't mean that. So, Yian's father asked the servant to look at him. Is something the matter? Flustered, the servant apologizes that she just lost her bearings for a moment, while the servant screamed inwardly. He cried? No way. Did he? He cried? Did the third young master cry? The third young master? The third young master? Yian's face twitched. She thinks she can tell what the servant was thinking. She, too, understand. Yes, that she does. But why did grandfather invited her too? She wondered. In the dining hall, first few people there were Yiran and her twin sons, Pyo and Ak. Next was Yikong and Yian. Yian thought, it felt so awkward. Then, grandfather's right-hand man came to ask for third young master's time. If he can step out for a second. Third young master said, his father will arrive soon. The right-hand man said, it'll only take a moment. Yiran bit her lips in annoying. All right. Third young master stood up while observing his sister. She crossed her arm and ignored third young master. Yian, her father called. He told her not to go anywhere and sit there patiently. If anything happens, make sure to tell him. The aunt snickered. Ha. Yian smiled and told him to not worry about her. Go do what he must. She waved for her father to go and already felt the dark energy behind her. Once her father was out of sight, the twin approached behind her, with ulterior motives hidden behind their eyes. Yian tried to ignore the source of energy emitting behind her. One of the twins said, Hey, I heard you are a piece of trash? That you're unable to do martial arts because your dantian shattered? The other circled the other's side and asked, simultaneously, is that true? After Yian's regression, the place she met Soolok and Baek Ripyo for the first time changed. And yet, the first words those two said, haven't. Who said that? Yian asked. One of the twin answered. Well, Mom said. Before he finished, the other twin punched him from behind to stop him. He realized he almost got tricked by her. The twin that threw the punch asked Yian, what will she do if she knows? Well, Yian was thinking of how to answer when the same twin asked, it's true, isn't it? That you were trash? Yian answered, so she can tell her father. Her answer stunned the twins, while her aunt folded her fan and slammed her hand on the table. She pointed the folding fan at Yian and shouted, you're really showing the vulgarness you learned growing up on the streets. Pretended to look stupid but very innocent, she asked, pardon? But her father told her to tell him everything. And scowled loudly, just how long does Yian think her father will just sit at home? I don't know, Yian replied. She smiled innocently, like a child who does not know anything, and said, she will have to ask her father that question. How long he will just sit at home? Running the aunt around in circle with the word game, a vein on her face popped out. She roared, you're quite arrogant relying on your father. Iran. Someone shouted the aunt's name. What exactly are you raising your voice so loudly that it can be heard outside? Entering was Baekri Iran's older brother, Baekri Iimuk, his son, Baekri Myung. Iran and her twins eagerly greeted the brothers. She asked why her brother is so late. The eldest uncle reprimanded Yian, just who would talk back to their aunt like that. She knew it. He would rebuke her the second he got here. Myung told his father to not be so hard on Yian, that she is still young. Her cousin greeted her, that it is his first time seeing Yun since that day. Has she been doing well? To keep the peace, she answered honestly back, yes. Myung said he thinks it's her first time meeting. Despite living in the same house, the two have yet to greet each other. He introduced his younger sister, Baekri Riri. He told his sister, over there is the cousin, Baekri Yian, who is of the same age. His sister hid behind him, blatantly ignoring Yian. Myung laughed and excused that his sister, Riri, is normally very shy towards strangers. The twins raced towards Riri to entertain her. Yian sat on the chair, watching a happy sibling, smiling happily with each other, like a big family. Alone by herself, she thought to herself, when will her father come back? There are a variety of delicacy in the patriarch's dining hall. Yian and her father sat on one side of the table, while the rest sat on the other side, as if no one wants to be associated with her and her father. The patriarch sat on the end of the table. Yian drools, seeing the different types of food. She thought, everything looks so good. Her father kept piling food on her plate, telling her to eat them all, since it also looks good too. She enjoyed everything her father put on her plate. Iran and Iimuk looked at the father-daughter pair and thought, who does not seem like they acknowledge the people sitting on the table. The patriarch asked Iimuk how are Myung's writing classes going. Being distracted by the daughter-father pair and wasn't paying attention, he couldn't hear the question and asked, pardon? The patriarch asked, how are Myung's writing classes going? He answered, since the teacher from Chunghyun Academy retired, he has been requesting for the writing teacher to go to their home to teach his son. Yian thought, wow, he is good at thinking on his feet. The patriarch asked, what about Riri and the twins? Iimuk replied, likewise for them. Iran chimes, the situation is similar for her too. She thought, why is her father asking when he already knows everything about this matter? Yian was looking at them when she heard her name called. What? She is also included in this question? Patriarch asked in surprise, you're personally teaching Yian? Yes, replied Econ. The patriarch cleared his throat and said, Master Ki, a famous scholar from Gyeongsong, followed esteemed Dr. Suk down here this time. Yian thought, this is why he asked? No one knew at first, but Master Ki was an incredibly distinguished person. To live comfortably in his old age, he came down here as a teach, as to avoid getting involved in the political power struggle, but with such a reputation, before long, students from all over the nation flooded the school he opened for his leisure. And due to the environment that allowed for interactions between future civil officers, it transformed into a place where valuable interpersonal relationships could be formed. The patriarch said, He heard Master Qi will be opening a school here. He believed it will be best to send the children there for instruction moving forward. What does everyone think? In her past life, even Master Qi did not keep many students. What was worse was that she never got an offer like this at that time. To her, this is a huge opportunity. The twins said in sync, taking class for 4 hours. Grandfather, we don't even have enough time for sword practice. That is such a waste of time. Grandfather replied, it'll only be 4 hours at the start, since Master Qi is well aware of the situation of a martial arts family. He will gradually reduce their lesson time accordingly to their progress. To a martial arts family, martial arts is of the utmost priority. However, if you're part of a well-renowned family like the powerful Baekri family, then martial arts are a given, and one must possess a certain level of mastery of the 6 arts. That does not mean you are expected to completely master them. Yian thought, maybe grandfather just wants them to know the basics. He probably does not want them to look like empty-headed martial artists who only know how to swing a sword. Grandfather asked, even if you study for 4 hours at school, aren't there still 20 hours left to train? That much is enough, and it isn't like you two are training all day long, are you? One twin said, of course, they train all day long. The other twin said, that's right, that's right. They never let go of their swords, not even for a second. Yian can't believe they are saying such blatant lies like that. Yiren tried to remedy the situation for her son. Father, you don't even know how hard Pyo and Ak are training. They are at the 3rd tier of the divine body martial arts. Diving body martial arts is a technique that only those of the Baekri family bloodline can master. Iimu congratulated. Pyo and Ak are close to the 3rd tier? How marvelous. Yiren, you must be so proud to have such brilliant sons. Both the twins posed conceitedly, taking in the praises. Yian gets that it gets astronomically harder to get to the next stage as one progresses. Even if one wields the sword the same way, the 1st tier is like cutting down branches. The 2nd tier is like cutting down trees, and the 5th tier is like cutting through stone. Iimuk asked, Father, isn't that truly incredible? For reference, grandfather, a 10th tier master, who has overcome the 9th tier, known as the Wailing Wall, is the one who raised the now powerful Baekri family to its highest achievement. And Yian's father is currently at the 8th tier, on the verge of the 9th tier. A heaven-sent genius who broke the all-time record set by grandfather when he was younger. Yiren spoke confidently, if for Ak and Pyo, at 7 years of age, break into the 3rd tier, they'll break Kong's record as the youngest. Yian's face twitched. Although that dream, they failed to achieve in the past life. Grandfather cleared, since Pyo and Ak are too busy to attend, what does Myung think about the school? Myung answered, it is a good opportunity to be taught by such a great person. He would like to attend, however, he is worried about having the luxury to rest when Pyo and Ak are so devoted to martial arts. Wouldn't it be better for him to devote to martials as well? At this point, grandfather's patience is running thin. Riri, and you? Riri, who was too busy filling her stomach, confused, asked, about what? Grandfather is about to snap at this point, about the school. Do you want to go or not? Iimuk, father of Riri, was pleading in fear for Riri to say something correct for once. Of course, she didn't get the message. She asked, why would she go there? Can't grandfather just tell the teacher to homeschool? Yian screamed inwardly, incredible. So, this is the mindset one should have if she's the granddaughter of the powerful Baekri family. Seeing his father lost it, he beat his father to reprimanding his daughter. Riri, just what are you talking about? Did you hear anything grandfather said? Tears formed on her eyes and Riri asked why her father is angry. Grandfather fisted the table and in extreme anger, he roared, nobody will go then. Shocked. What? Why? She wants to go. She wants to attend. Yian thought she would be able to live well and get a proper education this time around. But Yian prayed silently. Is this how far she'll get in this life? While still reprimanding, Kong called, Father. What do you want? His father shouted, still angry. Kong replied in a calmly manner. You didn't ask Yian. Yian's father's statement shocked all the adults in the room, even Yian herself. How ridiculous. Did Kong really say that in this situation? Yiren said in contempt. Don't you see that father's angry? And what would Yian know? She is the same age as Riri. There is no reason to ask. Nervous, Yian asked who was the one getting angry. It seemed more like Aunt was angry, but she saw Grandfather glaring at her. Grandfather was probably more angry from the other children and not her. His patience was just running thin from earlier. He asked, "All right, fine. Yian, what do you think? Do you want to go to school or not?" "There is no need to lie." Yian sighed. Why is it that when it gets to her turn, things get so chaotic? Angry aunts, arguing twins, crying Riri, and flaming grandfather. Yian asked her grandfather, "Don't you understand why you're angry?" The aunt snitched inwardly. What would a foolish little girl like her even know? At most, she will just whine about not wanting to go. Yian said, "It's not that Brother Ak and Pyo don't want to go, but rather they can't go, right?" Which surprised grandfather. "They can't go? What does that mean?" he asked. Yian replied, innocently, "Shouldn't they be going into isolation training?" The aunt stood up abruptly and roared, "Just what are you talking about?" Isolation training refers to the merciless training method, where a person is confined alone in a cave to focus only on training. At the shortest, a month, at the longest, a couple years. There is no one to support you during that time. Even worse, the only thing that can be eaten is an awful-tasting preserved food called fasting pills. Will the twins be able to withstand isolation training? Yian gleed cheerfully inside. But, Aunt, I heard Grandfather did isolation training when he achieved the 3rd tier, said Yian. And I heard Father did the same too. Aren't Brother Ak and Pyo going to do that as well? She asked pretentiously. I'm so jealous of you, brothers. Congratulations in advance as you're already close to reaching the 3rd tier. Yian congratulated with hidden meaning. The twins both called, Hey, you don't even have a dantee on to you. Before they could finish, Yian's father sent a threatening glare to the twins and they instantly shut their mouth in fear. And asked, What do you mean isolation training? Your father didn't do that. Huh? Really? Yian asked surprisingly, while her father still glaring at the boy with a message, I'm watching you. Her father patted her head and said, She is not wrong. He, too, went in for isolation training. However, he had no choice but to come out within 2 days as his mother was ill. Yian asked, Oh, grandmother was sick? That's right, replied her father. Grandfather seems like he is contemplating on something. Yian answered, She did not know about it. The aunt butted, That's right, you were mistaken. So apologized to grandfather and grandfather cut the aunt ear in and said cheerfully, No, Yian is right. Now is not the time to be going to school. Go on and prepare for Pyo and Ox isolation training. Father, Yiran called, while the twins hugged each other scared shitless. Father, how can they do isolation training? We can't just feed them fasting pills when they're in their growth period. Yiran reasoned. Father countered, he, too, did isolation training at that age. And her, as a mother, should be putting the children's futures first. Yiran couldn't retort her father's word. Reaching a higher stage at young age is priceless. There is no easy way to attain that. Though it may be heard now, this is all just an investment for the future. Bekri Yiran barely went past the 3rd tier when she was 12. While it was ordinary, next to her was Yian's father, under the limelight for his genius. After some thought, she told her twins, as their mother, she does not think it was that bad of an idea to go into isolation training. Before she could complete her message, the twins told their grandfather desperately they want to go to school. They told their grandfather they really want to go to school. Gosh, Yian could not believe these people. Grandfather has an all-or-nothing type of temperament. He'll send all of them as long as they all agree, or he'll send none of them at all. Yian sighed. She thinks she did a good job in averting the disaster with the topic. Her father put more food on her plate and told her to try them. She answered gleefully back, Yes. She should eat some delicious dishes while she is here. She put the food in her mouth and momentarily shocked. Yian's father asked, If it's good? She nodded fiery that it is so, incredibly delicious. She picked one up to her father and told him to try too. It tasted delicious. Her father replied, he had a lot already. Grandfather felt like a third wheel in a relationship. The father and daughter pair were showing their love to each other in perfect harmony, while the other side of the table were chaotic. Yiran lecturing her twins. Riri did not stop crying no matter what Emuk said. Then the other side of the table, the harmonious side. Yian asked her father, What's it made of? Her father said he had no idea. She thinks it's watercress. Did they use a saltwater fish to make it? Her father replied, if she want, you can go ask the cook. Grandfather was so upset that at the picture, he shouted, Kong, are you starving her? She is still only skin and bones. Father looked confused, while Ian spat out the food in her mouth. What is wrong with grandfather now? Ian's father replied that it appeared the food today fits Ian's palate. Ian, trying to swallow her food, asked to herself, why is grandfather throwing a tantrum? That's right, grandfather. Everything is delicious. Ian readily agreed with her father. Hoping to calm down grandfather's anger, she told him he should try some as well, since it's good. Humph. Bring it here. I need to get a taste, too, to see what's so delicious about it, said grandfather. What? Really? Ian looked at her father for consent. Her father nodded. She brought a plate full of food and walked up to her grandfather. I only picked the ones I felt were the most delicious. If it's all right with you, please try them, she stated innocently. Grandfather felt touched but does not know how to fully express himself. Ahem. Well, I was only going to try the meat patties, but you've prepared a full set. He took the plate off Ian's hand. Ian, stoned, not sure if she overstepped her boundaries. Grandfather, eating the food, commenting what is so delicious about it. It tastes mediocre. But he finished them all so fast, surprising Ian. Ian was swaying while holding a plate. Grandfather told him to go back at once. Ian was confused. She went back to her seat, but grandfather said, not the table's seat, but to her residence. Ian's father told her they should go. Ian screamed inside, but I haven't eaten my fill yet. She keeps screaming for food, her food, while her father held her and left the dining hall. A pile of school supplies was delivered to Ian. The maid told her father to let them know if there are anything lacking. The pile of school supplies looked a pile of glittering treasure to Ian. She observed each items one by one. With grandfather's all-or-nothing temperament, she guessed he would send them all to school, but she did not know he would go this far for all of them. Looking at the supplies, Kong was smiling. His father must have put in a lot of care into this. Grandfather was sure that she, a child, who does not even know how to write properly, but also have the teacher accommodate Ian's health. She was already thankful for the fact that he's even sending her to school. She thought she should give grandfather something in return. But what should she give him? She tried embroidery, but her embroidery skill was something else. Looking at the result of her embroiderer, she was not sure if it's a flower, butterfly, or rabbit. Her original intention was to embroider grandfather's name, but it suddenly became a cursed handkerchief. She was glad she didn't. But the current one is not so bad, right? After questioning it, she answered herself. She did great. But the real problem is, how should she deliver it to him? She rather believe a rabbit would jump out of the handkerchief than waiting for the residence's servants to help her. But that does not mean she want to personally visit grandfather either. Although, it's true grandfather has been treating her well lately, it's not like he accepted her into the family. Hello, Ian greeted the gate guard. The guard looked confused. She told the guard she left an item behind when she stayed at the White Protection Hall last time. May she go inside and look for it? She thought, if she cannot make others do it for her, and if she cannot give it to grandfather herself, then she has no choice but to secretly leave it in that room. The guard said he will show her in. If this was normal situation, he would have ignored Ian and tell her to wait until the patriarch returns, but the recent movement of the Beckery family has become strange due to the prominence of one child. Although Ian wasn't originally treated like one of the Beckery family's bloodline and was disregarded, according to the latest gossip about her, something does not sit right with the guard. The guard led Ian. He does not know when the patriarch, who went out this morning, will be back, and he feel uncomfortable just kicking Ian out. They approached the door and Ian asked the guard if she may look for the item by herself. It was sort of a secret item. So, she said while blushing cutely. The guard chuckled. How big would the secret be for a child this small? He thought the sight of her was quite cute. The guard said he will be waiting right outside the room, so for her to go out as soon as she finds it. Ian readily agreed. She was distracted by how gorgeous and well-maintained the room is. She reminded herself that it is not the right time to be admiring the room. She glanced around for a place to leave the handkerchief. A place that is hard for the warriors stationed outside to notice when they look around the room, but also a place that can easily be seen by a servant cleaning the room. There is it. She looked towards the bed. Since blankets have to be hung periodically out in the sun, it won't be long before it's found. Good, good. She muttered happily while lifting the blanket and placing her gift. What's good? Grandfather asked while standing behind her, which startled Yian. Grandfather? The startled Yian instinctively turned around hurriedly, lost her balance, and slipped backward toward the edge of the bed. Grandfather caught her from bumping to the edge. He yelled nervously, "Why is she so surprised?" He was even more startled because of her. She said she thought he was a ghost. He replied, "Then is he supposed to walk around his own residence loudly? She was the rascal who came into his room like a thief, isn't she?" She realized she was in the wrong and bowed to apologize, which caught Grandfather off guard of her action. He cleared his throat and asked if she found her item. That. He saw the bag she was holding and asked what that is. Sighed. She can't do anything since she had been caught. She handed the handkerchief to Grandfather, telling him that she brought it to give to him. He leaned in closer to look. For me? Yes, she replied. Grandfather opened the letter she had written along with the gift. She stood, nervously, hoping he could read her handwriting. She has been practicing hard since then. Grandfather asked if she embroidered it. She replied hurriedly, "Yes." "You didn't order the servants to do it?" he asked. Grandfather, if this is the skill level of a servant, they'll get fire, Yian thought. She said, "I made it myself. Here, this is a rab," pointing her finger to show her grandfather, but she paused halfway. Wait, it isn't a rabbit, it's... She was supposed to say they are flowers and butterflies. But she kept calling it a rabbit, and now she just instinctively said rabbit. Grandfather waited anticipately for Yian to finish. She unconfidently said, the rabbit's quite cute, no? Oh, whatever, whether it's a rabbit or flowers and butterflies, she gave it to him, so it's fine. Then, Grandfather, I'll be on my way now. Grandfather told her to stop. She thought she failed to escape. Yian sat facing her grandfather and thought. She wanted to go home. Yian, he called. Yes, Grandfather, she replied. Do you think Pio and Ak will be able to surpass the 3rd tier this year? Grandfather asked in a serious manner. What's his intention behind this question? Surely she hasn't been caught already. Yian replied, how would she know? Firstly, didn't she bring up the isolation training as if she were waiting for it? Well, that's because Aunt. Yian tried to gloss the answer, but Grandfather answered, no, you knew. From the start, you knew Pio and Ak wouldn't be able to overcome the 3rd tier. From observing her all these times, he knows she was an extremely bright child. She brought up the isolation training just to help him. Is he right? Yian knew she's been caught. Any more lies at this point will make Grandfather angry. No, everything you said is right. I just thought you wanted to send them to school. Will he think she is rude for insulting the direct descendants and hate her? Or, don't meddle from now on? Grandfather ordered. Yes, she answered and apologized. Grandfather felt she didn't understand his message. He elaborated. What will Pio and Ak think of her now since she meddled like that? They'll believe that she intentionally set them up? How would she think they'll act towards her from now on? She haven't mastered martial arts, and on top of that, she is also sick. What does she think it'll be like if the twins are determined to torment her? She doesn't have a mother, let alone her biological grandmother in the house. Even if her father pays extra attention, he will not be able to intervene in a children's fight all the time. Grandfather continued on with his lecture. It's not like her father can stay at home with her forever, and don't think he will stand by her side for something like this either. It finally clicked to Yian that this is Grandfather's concern for her? She is not sure, but she is going to take a step further. But, Grandfather, what if they pick fights with me even if I don't want to? Surprised, he asked, what are you talking about? Brother Pio and Ak said that I'm a waste, trash that can't even practice martial arts. Grandfather's eyes widened. They said such things? Yes, she answered. That day before you arrived, when Father had momentarily stepped away, Grandfather finally heard her confession that such things happened. How dare they say such vulgar words? He shouted angrily. Just how is Ear in raising her children? He fisted the table angrily. He asked if she just let it be without telling her father. She answered disappointingly, yes, Because it's a fight amongst children. Shocked, he looked as if he has been taught a life lesson. Grandfather, if I don't fight with them even after hearing that, and if my health was to improve later, will I have the right to wield the sword? I want to be able to stand proud. Grandfather can see his son, Yi Kong's shadow behind Yin. Confidence that doesn't falter against all odds, she knew it well. That this is the best attitude a martial artist can have. Her words may only seem like scheme, as they carry no weight right now. However, that is her honest truth. Stars glistened in the night sky. Yi Kong was being led by two maidservants. One held a lamp leading the way. Patriarch, the third young master is here, announced the maidservant. Let him in, instructed the patriarch. Yin? Her father was surprised to see her sleeping on the patriarch's bed. Yi Kong's father told him not to be surprised. She came to his place first. Yin did? He asked, unconvinced. Then, are you saying I forcefully dragged her here? Not at all. It's just that I don't understand why Yun came to see you, father. Yi Kong answered. Grandfather said pridefully, she's better than her father. Pardon? Yi Kong is confused. Grandfather took out a handkerchief from his sleeve. Isn't that what Yun made? Asked Yi Kong. That's right. His father replied happily. She's quite good with her hands. He started bragging. I was at a loss for words. This is my first time seeing someone embroider a rabbit for a martial artist. Ahem. Well, it can't be helped. Pardon? Isn't it flowers and butterflies? Asked Yi Kong. Disagreed with Yi Kong, his father retorted. What are you talking about? Look, it's a rabbit, isn't it? Yi Kong can only agree. You're right. She planned on secretly placing it here to express her gratitude for sending her to school. Although he sent all 5 grandchildren to school, there is only one who is truly grateful for that. Annoyed at Yi Kong's personality, father said, that's why they should eat together. He has less of an appetite now that he's older, but seeing her eat makes him want to eat too. Yi Kong replied contently, he is glad to hear that. His father was waiting for more from him. Is that it? His father asked. Pardon? Yi Kong did not get the message. His father thought, what a frustrating rascal. If it was his other children, Yi Ren would beg for him to look at her children, how amazing they are. If it was Yi Mook, he would show off his children ability and bragged about it to him. They would do anything to show off their children to attract his attention, but glancing at his son who was so clueless. He concluded that this is not something Yi Kong made Yin do it. Yin did this of her own free will. He felt happy of her sincerity and instructed Yi Kong to make sure she continues embroidering. Yi Kong replied, she's a child who will wield a sword. Earlier in the evening, grandfather asked Yin one thing. Does she know anything about her mother? Yin, who was dozing off during meal, thought. She can't keep herself from falling asleep in a child's body. Half awake, she replied, she does not know. He, her father, didn't say anything. Feeling more drowsy, Yin laughed. Am I a fool? How could I not know that mother abandoned me? She rubbed her eyes and thought, she can't do this anymore, and her head fell forward onto the food plate. But grandfather's large hand caught her face from hitting the plate. Yi Kong carried Yin and bid good night to his father. Since this is the path you chose, I hope you have no regrets. Yi Kong's father muttered, while watching him leave with the sleepy Yin. A few days later, Yin, all warmly dolled up, can't believe she is already attending school. Yin guiltily scratched her cheek. Her health has improved to the point that it's such a shame she can only take the first class. It should be fine for her to sit and listen to classes. But she had flashback of her father and grandfather nagging her not to overdo it. She should just focus on getting treated. She can only attend for self-introduction on the first day. While walking, she heard children shouting, "What are you doing?" Glancing over, she saw the twins and some other boys looking up the tree. One of the twins used a stick and poking it up the tree. Ugh, I missed it, exclaimed the twin boy. Yin thought they were demonstrating swordsmanship until she noticed a white bird flying above its nest. The other boys shouted for him to do better. Yin knew they were up to no good and continued on. At the gate, her father's manservant, Yin Du, greeted her and asked how class was. Yin replied, they only introduced themselves today. Yin Du said, it was only the first day. Then shall they be on their way? Yin Du led Yin, but noticed she had not taken a step. He turned around and saw Yin undoing her hair ribbon. Du leaned down, so Yin can instruct him. She whispered something to his ears and gave him her hair ribbon. After listening, Du told her that it is not a difficult request. He took the hair ribbon from her hand and went to talk to his school staff. Yin was watching from afar, not sure if her scheme will succeed. She can see them conversing. If she knew this would happen, she would have adorned herself with some jewelry. She did not because she heard the teacher does not like extravagance. That was why she purposely dressed plainly, but she was hoping the hairband can bribe the staff. Fortunately, it worked. The staff walked to where the boys were and announced for them to go in. The teacher will be there soon. The boys were all disappointed, but they left. Du ran back and reported that he did just as Yin instructed. But what is going on? Yin pointed up to the bird nest. Baby birds were still there chirping. She was relieved. She had acted soon enough. Satisfied, she told Du they can go now. Just as they were about to leave, Du, who was closest to the tree, heard something and alerted Yin to stop. They saw a baby bird who had fallen from the nest on the ground chirping. It was lucky to fall on those bushes. He reached to grab the bird, but Yin stopped him. With a cloth, she scooped the bird onto the cloth. She heard that baby animals should not smell like humans. She is worried the handkerchief might not be enough. But she asked Du if they can get it back into the nest. Du crossed his arms and contemplated. It's been 5 years since he last climbed a tree. But why not? He should give it a try. There is no use. Someone said. It was a boy in gold silken robe embroidered with a willow tree branch design. He asked if they were surprised, and that he is sorry. A light blue jade pendant, decorated with sapphire beads. It was obvious he's a child of an esteemed position. Why is it useless? Asked Yin. The boy said the wing is broken here, pointing to the broken area on the bird. Yin finally noticed. For a baby bird to have a broken wing, the boy guessed the bird will die. She understood. The fact that the parents didn't do anything even when the baby bird fell meant that they have also given up on it, this bird's life. She felt pity for the bird. Why did you do that? Asked the boy. What? She replied. You sent the others in early by having the servant call them in. He explained. After giving the servant your ribbon, Yin thought he was watching the whole time and did not intervene. He asked if there was reason for her to do all that. Couldn't she just stop them? Isn't she the Beckery family's twins' cousin? Yin tried to maintain a straight face, thinking of how the twins would react. She nearly frowned just the thought of it. Even so, it doesn't mean she have to share every little details of her family's affairs to a child she just met. She replied, her cousin have a competitive spirit, so if she had stopped them, they would have gone after the birds even more. Competitive spirit? The boys laughed and kept laughing, while holding his stomach due to excessive laughing. Yin didn't understand why he was laughing. She told Du they should go now. Holding back his laughs and tears, he asked, leaving already? Keeping a straight face, Yin thought, who was he to hold her back? Du asked, what about the bird? Yin told him to put it back down in the bushes. After all, even if they place it back in its nest, it will die anyways. There was no other choice. She thought, looking so sad, thinking of her own abandonment. If she needlessly touched the nest, the parents may give up on the other baby birds altogether. Even if she were to care for the bird, it was already hard enough for the Beckery family to care for her. The boy said he can treat it, the broken wings. Yin finally looked at the boy. He was happy he finally get her to look at him. Our introductions are a bit late, aren't they? My name is Suk Yak. I am a distant relative of the esteemed Dr. Suk, who came here recently. Sturdy, tall, decorative building. Peonies blooms along the walkway. Yin thought, is being an esteemed doctor really such a lucrative occupation? Along the walk, she was mesmerized. Suk Yak noticed how she paid attention to the flowers. He guessed she likes peonies. She said because it was her first time seeing this color. The peonies in the Beckery family gardens are mostly white. Suk Yak replied, the Beckery family's gardens are well known for their beauty. If she wants, he will pick some for her before she leaves. Yin refused. He does not have to go so far as to do that. Just why is this child being so hospitable? She thought. She can't tell what he is thinking. If he is looking for a connection, going to the twins would be a better choice. Suddenly her eyes widened. She asked Suk Yak, By chance, is my father here? He looked surprised, but quickly denied and asked what's the matter? Yian thought she saw her father, but she cannot tell because the sight was too far away. After a little time of trying to see, she finally said, "It's nothing." She must have been mistaken. "Is that so?" Sukjiayak replied. He pointed to a building and told Yian that it's the residence he is staying in. There is a receiving room for guests, which is why he has some delicious tea. Yian smiled happily but thought to herself, how could he be so sure her father is not here, when the two of them have just arrived at the villa? The little bird laid on a makeshift pillow nest, wrapped in gauze cloth. Sukjiayak told Yian, he set the wing for now. They will have to wait and see what happens next. Well, even if it can use its wings, it can't be returned to its nest after sitting on a human hand. He added. Yian said she is counting on him. Sukjiayak had observed Yian for some times now. He saw how bad she wanted it best for the bird, but unable to take care of it. He saw pity in her eyes. He asked, why won't she raise it? This question brought back painful memories. All of the animals she raised in the past died every time, all due to the twins' mistake, or for no reason. Yian replied, she knows he studied medicine, but it's hard for her to even care for herself. So how can someone like her take care of sick bird? In that state, how can she? Sukjiayak replied elatedly, but there is no way the powerful Bekri family has shortage of servants, is there? If you can't personally raise it, you can just have a servant raise it, can't you? The flamboyant image was just something Yian was imaging of what he might say, after saying she can't take care of the bird despite being in a powerful Bekri family. She thought she was seeing things. Sukjiayak, trying to contain his laugh, could not hold it anymore and burst out laughing. Her expression to him was too funny. He said, she does not need to lie. Did you ask despite knowing? She thought. She shook her head. No. It would be a relief if he did know, since it means that she don't have to go out of her way to put on an appearance. She finally put out the truth. They said it's best to show the household flaws to outsiders, especially considering it's my first time meeting you. If he is a clever child, he will know what she really mean. It means stop prying. Sukjiayak finally stopped laughing and said, for some reason, he get the feeling that they will be good friends. Surprised, Yian just didn't know what the hell is wrong with him. A carriage strolling on the road. Inside, Yian asked if the gift box is heavy. He can carry it for her. Yian seemed exhausted, yawned and said, she is fine. Earlier, Sukjiayak gave her the peonies to celebrate the start of their friendship. In the end, she ended up receiving some peonies. Sukjiayak, she never encountered in her past life. And he, a child who was never mentioned in the novel. It is suspicious, but she does not think he is a bad child. He was kind enough to put the peonies in the box to prevent them from getting damaged. She smiled as she thought of how to use the flowers. First, she wants to use one to decorate her father's study. Then, she'll put one in her room. And last, she will dry one to make an incense pouch. Yian suddenly had a comical thought of grandfather reaction, stern but blushing at the same time. Ahem. Well, what would a martial artist like myself use an incense pouch for? Who said I wouldn't accept it? Just leave it here for now. She could not hold in her laughter just thinking about it. Yian finally arrived home. Just when Yian was helping her to get down from the carriage, they can hear some commotions. I told you no. But there you go again. Another voice asked to please check it properly. The guard replied frustratedly, gosh, there is no use even if I check. You're so persistent. The other person questioned, is this how the Bekri family welcomes guests? A guard said, what guest? You're just bum who can't even prove your identity? The other guard added, why don't you leave while we're still talking nicely? Can't you just get lost before we have to drag you away? The guard ordered. The guest, wearing unorthodox black clothing with a black veil hat, dared them to if they can. Let's try, he threatened, sending a death glare through the veil gap. Yian's jaw dropped. Why is Namgung Wan here? The next patriarch of the Namgung family, one of the top 10 most powerful families. He is the biological father of the male protagonist of the novel, Namgung Ryucheng, as well as Yian's father's close friend. And he is someone who contributed to Yian's father's death. She only know that much. I want to know what exactly he did. That darn unhelpful novel. Yian complained inwardly. But Why is such an incredible person standing there like this? Ian approached the gate. I came here because of the noise. What's going on? I will offer my assistance if I can. The guest, Namgung Wan, turned around and asked, and you are? At this point, she was not supposed to know who Namgung Wan is. So she introduced herself as if she met him for the first time. She bowed elegantly. Greetings. I am Baekri Ian of the Baekri family. Yes, I am the daughter of your friend Mr. She thought. The guard replied, this is nothing you need to be concerned about, young miss. The other guard shouted at Namgung Wan, you're still not going to get lost? Wow, look how haughty he is since this is his home turf. Ian thought. Ian Du screamed at the gate guards, you rascals. This person is. He suddenly was threatened by a sound transmission. Keep your mouth shut. Namgung Wan cleared his throat and showed Ian his invitation. I have an invitation, but these heartless bastards just won't let me in. A guard countered, how can we blindly trust that and let you in? Namgung Wan replied, that's why I've been telling you to check the letter. The other guard answered, we can't let you in without an identity plaque. Ian Du felt so frustrated, he was about to pull his hairs off. Ian glanced at Ian Du. It seems he used sound transmission to prevent Ian Du from speaking. Does he really not want his identity revealed? Ian asked to see the letter. Very well, Namgung handed the invitation letter to her. She started to open the letter. This is a problem that can be solved simply by calling father over, but with how stubborn they're being, this isn't just the gatekeeper's personal issue. She looked at the letter. As expected, it's her father's handwriting, a brief invitation with an anonymous recipient. However, father's seal is properly stamped on it. Ian rolled the invitation and said, this is father's penmanship and seal. Let's go in. Namgung Wan, holding back his laughter, thought, this little bean acts just like her father. The guards refused entry. Ian sighed, as expected. The guard said, there is no room in the reception hall right now. Huh? What? Dear? What kind of nonsense is this? The third young master is out, so we cannot bring this man to his residence either, said one of the guards. Ian Du asked, the young master is out? But he didn't say anything to me? Ian had a flashback at the school when she asked Suk Jie Yak if her father was here and he denied. Ian Du whispered to Ian, young miss, I'll go inside and check. Ian, oh sure. Ask if anyone knows where father went to. Truthfully, she does not care about this level of insult, but if her father's destination is the esteemed Dr. Suk's home. Suk Jie Yak image appeared and she asked why does she have such a dubious feeling? Namgung told Ian to go in too. Since Yi Kong is out, he'll wait alone. Ian replied, she will wait with him too. After all, her father's guest is also her guest. While waiting, Ian wondered, at this point in the novel, had Namgung Wan ever been here? Is it because he came here while hiding his identity that I didn't even know this happened? Ian felt like there is something else she is forgetting. Suddenly, Namgung Wan asked, what's that? Surprising Ian. She opened the box and 3 pink peonies laid neatly in the box. They're flowers I got from a child I met today. I got them to place one in father's study, one in my room, and to dry the last one and make an incense pouch. She explained cheerfully, looking forward to it. Incense pouch? Namgung Wan asked. Yes. She replied excitingly. It's father's birthday soon, but there won't be a celebration since he's busy because of me. And I heard he's going to reject all the presents, too. So I wanted to at least prepare something for him. Ian spoke pridefully. Namgung Wan blushed and thought to himself, maybe it'll be good to have a daughter next. It suddenly dawned on Ian that the reason why Namgung Wan came was because of her father's birthday, and it just happened to be to give her father a present, but her father rejected it. The fight developed due to his feelings being hurt because of her father's stubborn refusal. Who knows, maybe that was the cause of her father's death. Ian tried to speak cutely. Mister, you said you were father's friend, right? Namgung Wan thought, what's this suddenly? That's right, he replied. Ian frantically searched for reasons to say, what should she say to stop them from fighting? Since your arrival here is like fate. Yun's frozen expression, yet melting face continued, you'll get father a present, right? She was worrying too much that her expression became awkward. Ah ha 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 ha. Namgung bursted laughing. He laughed so hard to the point he's about to cough to his death. Ian stood frozen, not sure what to do. What's wrong with him all of a sudden? Did she do something wrong? Her eyes quivered, not sure what to do. Finally, Namgung was able to mutter, for as long as I've lived, I never thought there'd be a day I'd meet a thief in front of the Bekri family's main gate. Please leave a comment of 3 words or more for the next part. Like, share, and subscribe to help support this channel for more contents and faster release. Namgung Wan kept laughing, while Yian stood there embarrassed to death. She wants to argue with him. What is so funny about making sure her father gets a present? After he is done laughing, he asked her, if he did that, give her father a present, then what will she do for him? Pardon? Yian asked. Namgung Wan answered, you said you're going to make an incense pouch, right? Yes, Yian replied. He demanded, make one for me too. What? Yelped the shocked Yian. Then, no matter what happens, I'll make sure to get your father a present. Do you know how to embroider? Still blushed, Yian answered, I'm not very good at it. She thought, he is quick to make requests. Still, it should be something you made yourself. I'll pick a bone with you later if it isn't. You should do this much in return for robbing me. He reasoned. Ark. Yian thought, but I'm the one being robbed? I do know how to embroider, but it's a real mess. It'll take a very, very, very long time, she said shyly. I'll wait. Namgung answered heartily. Art. Yun getting more flustered. It can't be helped. Then, Mister, even if father refuses your gift, you won't get angry and will still give it to him, right? He replied pridefully, of course, a man never backs down on his word. Then, I'll make it for you. You have to be understanding even if it's clumsy, all right? She promised. Namgung smiled happily, thinking his friend's daughter is so cute. Slowly, he reached his hand about to pat her head, but they were distracted by a question. What's going on? Why is that halfwit here? They both turned around at the same time. A carriage already came to a stop and 3 boys, being escorted by 2 servants, stood in front of their carriage. The twin both stated unison. They said you couldn't take classes because you're sick, but you seemed fine. Are you faking it? Gloom appeared on her face. The twins. To pick a fight in front of Namgung Wan. Are they out of their minds? She thought. Or did they recognize him? Instead of focusing on Namgung Wan, they saw her holding a box. They asked, what is she holding? Flowers, she replied. Really? Show us? Before Yian could react, one of the twins already walked up to her and demanded, what's going on? Why can't you open it? They aren't flowers, are they? Give it to me. If you can't open it, I'll do it. Yian can't stand these pesky twins. The twins kept on hammering her for the chest box. One said, wait, they're actually flowers? Come on, why would you put that in a chest? I got excited for a second. The other twin asked menacingly, why? They're pretty? His brother snickered, what are you talking about all of a sudden? Are you sick? Give it to me. The twins demanded. I think it would be perfect to give to Riri. She wasn't even able to come to school today because she is sick. You're right. Surely, you won't refuse my request for one, will you? That's right. So right? You don't think it's a waste to give me one, right? The twins bully her, one after another in circles. Yian felt like she was in a whirlpool of nastiness. She can clearly feel their malice. Pyo, don't be so demanding. Yian must have understood everything already. Myung walked up to them and said to her, Yian, we're cousins, aren't we? Good things should be shared with others. She knew it felt ominous the moment they came across each other. Yian handed a flower and said, it isn't that hard of a request. She thought she can give them 1 flower at most. The twin in right red shoulder sleeve threw the flower on the ground and stepped on it, saying he missed it. The poor flower was damaged. He had the audacity to say, you should have handed it to me properly. What are you doing? Give me another one. Namgung Wan glared at the situation, speechless of what he witnessed. Yian handed the second flower and was destroyed the same way. The twins demanded again, come on, give it to me properly. What? I could have dropped it by accident. Got a problem? There is still one left. Give me that at least. They continued to demand the flowers from Yian. Namgung watched the whole situation unfolding in front of him. His fist clenched, wanting to intervene, but was suddenly stopped by the loud closing snap of the chest box. Fine, Yian replied. Here. Take it. You're going to give it to Riri, right? Since it's in the chest, you won't step on it even if you were to drop it. The twins were flaming on their face as now they no longer can destroy the flower. Humph. They shifted the blame to Yin. You should have done that from the start. We wasted 2 flowers because of you. Let's go. Watching the twins leave, Myung patted Yin's shoulder and said, "You're so kind, Yin." Ha ha ha. And he left after the twins. Namgung Wan, still angry, complained, "How unbelievable. Why did you stop me?" She smiled at him and answered, "Because you don't want to reveal your identity." Her answer silenced him. Why is it that this child, the precious daughter of his close friend, is so naturally accepting of the situation? Isn't the situation much worse than what he heard? She had a dream. That day, before her father's death, Mr. Namgung Wan, angered by their trivial matters fought, purposely took his time. So, her father ended up dying alone without anyone to help him. Flustered, the grown-up Yin smacked her face, unable to believe. That can't be. Such a thing never happened in the original. It's too early. So, this is a dream. Yin Du can be seen, trying to wake up Yin, who was still deep asleep, dreaming. She did not hear nor feel him waking her. Left with no choice, he pulled the blanket away and at the same time shouted, "Milady, you have to get up." This startled Yin awake. Huh? Yin Du quickly apologized. "You asked me to wake you up earlier, and it seemed like you were having a nightmare. So, Yin replied, No. Thank you so much for waking me." She was glad it was just a dream. Earlier, in the end, Namgung Wan was unable to rein in his temper and revealed his identity and kicked the guard to infinity. Shocked Yin put on her monocular glasses and gave him a 10 out of 10. But, wait, what was the point of her hiding his identity if he was going to do it anyways? Still, she felt vindicated. Then as soon as she got home, she fell asleep like she had fainted. Sitting on the chair while Yin Du gently wiped her face. She understood why they made her return early from classes. A maidservant came in and told Yin that she will help Yin get dressed. Yin jumped off the chair and declined, and to do that later. She told Yin Du they should go now. As she approached her destination, she can hear the commotions. "You went too far. To hit someone with a bamboo hat. I've never seen such discourtesy in my life." The other person answered, "You should be glad. I only went that far." Looking determined, there is only one reason she said she would get up early. She hurried to the door and can hear the lecture. "Now that you're the next patriarch of your family, you mustn't act like that just because you're angry." And the other person complained, "Are you telling me to walk on eggshells around everyone?" "That isn't what I," explained the other person. "Father," Yin yelled before Yi Kong could finish. He signaled for Namgung to stop. Yin pushed the door open, looking flustered but determined. She wanted to destroy her father's death flag. "Don't be so hard on, Mr. Namgung Wan," she said with full determination. Both her father and Namgung were speechless. "What?" answered her father. Namgung can be seen holding in laughter. Since she does not know the direct cause of her father's death, she can only ruled out everything she suspect. If you had written that he was an important guest in the letter, would the gatekeepers really have ignored Mr. just because of his shabby clothes? Namgung got hit by an invisible strike for being called out shabby. She continued, "That's why we can say this is all your fault, father." At this point, she was getting more worked up. She said, So both of you, please don't fight." And her father got up and gave her a comforting hug. He spoke gently to her. "Why do you look so pale, my dear? Did you have a nightmare or something?" He put his forehead next to her. "I apologize. I showed an ugly side of myself. I've also punished the gatekeepers. So you don't have to worry too much, Yin." She suddenly remembers that her father did punish the gatekeepers. Namgung, sitting with both arms and legs crossed, retorted, "Sure, if you call a 3-month salary cut and 2 weeks of probation a punishment." Since Yin was still present, her father didn't want to argue. "Let's stop talking about it," her father suggested. Yin thought, this right here is why Namgung Wan was so upset. Her father's only weakness. She can't just move on from this topic. It has to be resolved. "Father, isn't it weird? Why did the gatekeepers ignore Mr. Namgung Wan? They would have known they'd be punished once you came back, and it is not like they're fools either." Her intention behind this statement was, Were the gatekeepers stupid? Is that why they kicked out someone with father's letter? Her good and kind father. He is of high integrity, which is why he wasn't interested in such veiled enmity. They would definitely try to figure out the identity of father's guest, a well-renowned person in Murim, and try with any means possible to intercept them. Yian at this point can guess that they'll probably ask Mr. Wan to have dinner, under the pretext of an apology soon, won't they? Her eyes clicked with Namgung Wan. She panicked. Oh no. Our eyes met. Namgung thought. Her personality would be just as frustrating as her father's. But she's not a fool, is she? He questioned. Yi Kong gave a death glare at Namgung Wan. What did you just call my daughter? He questioned. Namgung Wan panicked. No, wait, that's right. Now that we've met, I'll give you a present. Father-daughter reunions are good and all, but come over here and sit. Yian concluded that Mr. is also weak in verbal fights. The sun is setting and the sunray peeked through the windows. Yian is sleeping, holding a dagger, which she received as a present in the end. Yian's father pulled the blanket up to cover her before going back to talk to Namgung Wan. When I first heard you had a daughter, I laughed. Some fools, envious of your reputation, had spread such malicious nonsense. Namgung Wan continued to explain. When I received your letter and came all the way here. Do you know how many times I questioned what I saw? I came here because of your request for help, but like Yian said, I was scolded. Yi Kong apologized, that it is his fault. Namgung spoke regrettably. She's a clever child. To the point where it's so unfortunate her dantian is shattered. After receiving your letter, I sent out people to find out in my own way. He took out a plaque card and put on the table. The all-knowing doctor, I've discovered his whereabouts. The horn plaque. There was a special significance for those of the Murim to give someone their horn plaque. It was a promise of absolute faith and honor. A pledge to help you no matter the reason. Namgung stated, if it's this plaque, even the all-knowing doctor has no choice but to treat your daughter. Shocked, Yi Kong asked, this horn plaque, isn't it yours? That's right, Namgung Wan answered. It was his father's plaque. Being the kind and sincere person he is, Yi Kong was about to refuse. But Namgung beat him to it and told him not to even think of refusing. He stated that his father never thought there would come a day for him to use this horn plaque after the all-knowing doctor disappeared. When else could this even be used if the all-knowing doctor were to disappear again? He had already obtained permission from his father. He wasn't going to give this plaque for free anyways. He had a favor to ask regarding his son, Ryu Chung. In another residence, the twins can be heard complaining. Ugh, this Baek Ryun. Why do I see her so often these days? The chest box was thrown on the bed as the twin continues to complain. Carrying this sort of trash and running amok. It's so annoying. She must really think she's a member of the Baek family. That's what I'm saying. I don't want her to be treated like a member of the family like we are. Myung watched the twins complain back and forth, and with a worried expression, he asked if they know the guard wearing the bamboo hat who is behind Yian. There won't be much of a problem if an escort tells on them, but... One twin replied, he isn't her guard. The other agreed readily. Yeah, he probably isn't. When Yian went to school, she came with one servant. Myung felt relieved and guessed maybe he's just a guest then. The twin answered, haughtily, he's just a nobody. And it seemed like he couldn't even get inside. Myung thought, these punks have no fear of what others will say. Because sorting out the situation becomes his burden to bear. He needs a break. He told the twins they can't do that in front of others from now on. The twin replied lazily without a care, only if she is not in sight. It's her fault to begin with, going out and about. Myung calmed himself down. Maybe he's just worries a lot. Namgung and Yi Kong went to meet the rest of the members. He introduced himself as Namgung, one of the Namgung family. Yi Mook looked flabbergasted, hearing the name Namgung family. Although it's a shame, Namgung Mutual, the former Orthodox faction leader and one of the top 10 masters in the world, didn't come, it's still great that his son, Namgung Wan, comes. Yi Mook apologized for not being able to prepare something grander due to lack of time. He scolded Yi Kong for keeping such a great connection to himself. They would have been completely clueless if they hadn't bribed the gatekeepers in advance. Yi Mook stated that he heard the gatekeepers behaved rudely to him. Namgung Wan frowned upon hearing that. It was the most unpleasant experience for him to have witnessed the bullying, though Mook thought differently. He told Namgung Wan that he dealt with the gatekeepers firmly after finding out the truth. Namgung Wan said he heard the situation from Mook. Mook commented that Namgung Wan probably didn't hear everything because he expelled those gatekeepers, so they can never set food into the bakery residence again. Kong asked, "Does he mean he fired the gatekeepers?" "Of course. How do you know they won't commit such discourtesy again?" Mook answered. Both Kong and Namgung Wan looked at each other as if they thought the same thing of what Yin said earlier about the gatekeeper are not fools either. Lady Eren arrived and apologized for her tardiness. She brought the children to greet Namgung as they kept pestering about the news that a master had come. Mook thought, what a perfect time. He instructed the children that he will introduce them to the master. On the far left is my eldest son, Baekri Myung. The girl on the right is Baekri Ri, my daughter. She's quite shy as she hasn't been out much. Baekri Myung greeted Namgung Wan. Mook continues on with the twins, Soa-ok on the left and Baekri Pyo on the right. The twins both greet Namgung Wan. As soon as the introduction ended, angry auras radiated from Namgung like devil incarnate. Unsure of the situation, Eren asked, she heard Namgung Wan has a son and his name is Ryu Chung, right? She heard there are all sorts of rumors that he's an outstanding prodigy. It would be nice if he met with the children and made friends of the same age. Namgung smirked and replied he is not sure, as Ryu Chung only socialized with children who were at his level. Eren felt like she'd been struck by lightnings. What's this? Is he blatantly refusing our children, right now? Sweat dripping down her face as she forced a fake smile. Oh, ha ha ha. It appears Ryu Chung is really amazing. You must be proud. Well, that's true. Namgung Wan replied with a care. Eren pulled her sons together and bragged, my sons are also diligent in their martial arts training. They'll soon attain the third tier of the divine body martial arts. Oi. Namgung Wan glared down at the twins and smirked. He lost it. He totally lost it. It shocked the other adults speechless. Kong screamed inwardly, Namgung Wan. Flustered, Kong asked. You. Mook laughed nervously. They must seem lacking to the eyes of Master Namgung Wan, who has spread his name far and wide, reaching peak enlightenment at just 20 years of age. Still, they are children who are sincere about the sword. It would be great help if a master like yourself gave advice to them. Myung readily agreed with his father's words. He bowed and stated respectably, if Namgung impart any lessons on him, he will keep them in mind. You need to stay by Yan's side, don't you? Namgung Wan asked. What are you talking about? Asked Kong. Namgung told Kong that he has yet moved his chopsticks. If he was worried about Yin, he should go back first. Kong told him that he is trying to exclude Kong. Then, thinking that Kong was worried about Yin, Mook chimed in that he will pay special attention to this meal. So Kong don't have to worry and just stay with Yin. The expression on Kong's face showed that he understood there was something Namgung does not want him to see. He eventually left, but still worried about the situation over there. Namgung sat majestically with arms and legs crossed. I've been through this sort of situation quite a few times now. On a small scale, meals. On a large scale, even gifts of treasures. And what everyone wanted was the same, the powerful Namgung family's background. Baekri's patriarch right-hand man, Jang Sukriang, called out, young patriarch Namgung. Thinking the young patriarch was disrespectful, Namgung called, you're Baekri Ri, right? Let me ask you one question. Did you receive the flowers well? This question stunned the twins and Myung. Pardon? The shy Baekri Ri asked, looking clueless as always. Myung caught on and spoke on Riri's behalf. That's right. The peonies were very pretty, weren't they? Still clueless, but she just went along. What? Oh, yes. Let me ask you one more question. What color were the peonies you received? Myung was seen trembling at this point. The peonies were white, she answered, as all the peonies around the Baekri residence were all white. Namgung Wan started laughing uncontrollably, making everyone flustered. He asked, I'm sure you said you'd bring them to your sick sister, did you not? Mook called, young patriarch? Please calm down. Just what is going on all of a sudden? Namgung Wan glared, calm down? You said you're Baekri Myung, right? I've heard a little bit about you. That is the eldest grandson of the Baekri family, You're a bright and fine child of great character. Myung had a shameful expression on his face because he did not appear that way earlier. Namgung Wan stood up and apologized for being rude to A Jang. However, A Jang will need to do some proper household management first. If the Baekri family shows this side of themselves, won't it stain the name of the Baekri family's patriarch? After that, he went back to the boys and glared at them. To hold a sword with arms that can't even catch one flower properly, can you even wield a sword? Stay out of my sight from now on, since you all seem like fools. The twins started bawling, while Ian yelled, Isn't he a crazy person? The house was turned upside down in just a single night, while Ian was sleeping. Ian kneeled in front of Ian, crying his eyes out, apologizing for what happened while he stepped away. I am deeply ashamed, miss, for young Master Soak and Baekri Pyo to do such evil thing. With a blank face, Ian thought, Mr. Namgung Wan's actions are incredible. She told Ian it's all right. Ian asked if Mr. Namgung and her father fought. Well, Ian glancing away from her answered, rather than a fight, it was a bit of disagreement. Ian touched her temples and said it's the same thing. What's the point of stopping them from fighting over a gift when they're fighting over for something else? While being distracted in thoughts, she saw the chest box on the table. Ian opened the box and saw 3 pink peonies in the box. Ian did father go out last night? What? How did you know? Yes, he said he'd be going to the esteemed Dr. Sook's. Oh. Ian beamed. Where is father right now? She asked. All she wanted was to say thank you to her father, but why? Is he here? She was greeted by Suk Jae-yak greeted and her father. On top of that, for Suk Jae-yak to be led into their residence too. They sat across each other, while Suk Jae-yak was drinking tea elegantly like a pure noble. She thought back to earlier in the meeting. Suk Jae-yak introduced himself as a close friend of Yin, which excited her father too much. The hope, the happiness in his eyes, made it for her unable to deny, plus it wasn't a situation where she could deny being friends at all either. You're not going to take the medicinal decoction? Asked Suk Jae-yak. I'll drink it later, replied Yin, still avoiding eye contact with him as usual. But it'll be harder to drink when it's cold. She frowned that Ian-du's nagging alone is enough when it comes to drinking medicine. What are you doing here? She asked. He replied, he heard she is going to the Namgung family. She asked if her father said that? Yeah, he replied. He took a sip of tea and stated, to be honest, I think it's a bit too early to travel, given your state, but I'm sure there's a reason why you have to go. Ian thought, he speaks as if he knows the true purpose of the trip. Suk Jae-yak said, the esteemed doctor will come to examine her the day after tomorrow. Ian told Suk Jae-yak to tell the doctor. She said thank you. Okay, he replied. Then added, so, why don't she drink her medicine now? Damn it. Yun thought. I'll drink it. I'm going to drink it, she said, while looking at the medicine in her hand, hesitantly. She downed her medicine and asked, did you come to tell me that the esteemed doctor will be here the day after tomorrow? Truthfully, she still feels awkward with him. It's hard to tell what he's thinking. Even now, it's strange that he personally came. It should be enough to inform her through a servant. I can't do that? Suk Jae-yak answer. I can't come because I miss you? He asked. Stone-face, Ian was lost for words. He continued on like a person being in love. I mean, it's my first time making a friend. Chills ran down Ian's body, thinking what's the deal with this child? Since when did they have such a close relationship? Suk Jae-yak signaled for a servant to come in. The manservant brought in a peony flower pot. He told her, it's a gift for her. Young Master Baekri took and broke 3 peonies, right? He brought her a sapling so that she can see them anytime. Touched, but also sad at the same time, she asked why is Suk Jae-yak being so nice to her? But his kindness is putting her in a tight spot. Wouldn't the twins try to vent their anger on these peonies? And can the servants even take good care of these flowers? On top of that, she's going to be leaving the residence for a while. Something that has to be taken care of for a long time doesn't suit her well. Suk Jae-yak noticed her expression. It was the same way when the bird got hurt. He said she doesn't look so happy about it. Ian quickly denied. She liked it a lot. He said if she liked it then, he has something that she might like. What? You have something else too? He laughed freely that he saw something funny on his way here today. Back in the central hall of the White Protection Hall, the patriarch was seen sitting with his eyes closed as if he thinking about something. Below, Iran, twins, Iimuk, his children, Myung and Riri was seen kneeling down. Iran exclaimed, "Father, Namgung Wan of the Namgung family, you must have let that rude man be. That Namgung Wan, you don't know just how rude he is. How dare he ignore and mock my sons, children of the Bekri family who have the blood of our powerful family." "How so?" the patriarch asked. He said that Pyo and Ok can't even properly wield swords, and for them to stay out of his sight forever. If that's so, then why do you think Namgung Wan was like that to the children? Iran replied haughtily that she does not know why Namgung Wan was like that to them suddenly. Iran thought, even if they call forth the witnesses, it's just Namgung Wan and Bekri Yin are the witnesses. All the gatekeepers are in her mother's pockets anyway. She glanced at Kong, scowled at him. In terms of numbers, their side has more witnesses. She can just insist that Namgung Wan and Bekri Yin align their stories. Plus, even if they feign ignorance to it all, what can Kong do? "So, what's the story about the peonies?" asked the patriarch. Iran finally understood why all the children are present except for Yin. There is no doubt that Yun told the patriarch everything. Angered, she shouted, pointing her finger at Kong. "Father, just what's the fuss with that peony?" asked the gatekeepers. Bekri Yun herself said that she'd give them to the children first. Who does Namgung Wan think he is to meddle in the affairs of the Bekri family when the children were just playing around a bit? This is no different from the Namgung family looking down on our Bekri family. Iran pointed her finger at Kong and barked loudly, "Father, just what is the fuss with the peonies?" asked the gatekeepers. Bekri Yun herself said that she'd give them to the children first. Who does Namgung Wan think he is to meddle in with the Bekri affairs when the children were just playing around a bit? This is no different from the Namgung family looking down on our Bekri family. For such a wicked person to be your close friend, Kong, you're also a... "Hold your tongue," roared the patriarch. "Just who are the ones that were thoughtless, shameless, unable to discern right from wrong and displayed barbarism?" asked the gatekeepers. "Those fools have already revealed every Tajan Suk Ryan before I could even ask." Frightened, Iran could only listen to her father's scolding. He told Iran he will only give her 3 choices. 1. Send the children out and she can remain at the Bekri residence. 2. She can leave but the children remain at the Bekri residence. 3. They all leave the Bekri residence. "Father," Iran yelled. "Patriarch, young Miss Bekri Yin is here," announced Jang Sukriang. "Tell her to come in," ordered the patriarch. Those kneeling turned to look at Yin. She entered, bowed and greeted her grandfather, hoping it is not too late to remedy the situation. "You are really treating the central hall like your bedroom, coming in and out as you please. To even bring someone who has not received permission yet on top of that. The one who begged to follow was hiding behind the door. The one who tried to stop could only swallow in her frustration and remained as calm as possible." Grandfather asked Yin, "What reason is she here for?" Yin replied, "She has a close friend that she got to know at school, called Sukgayak. He was the one who brought the peony pot as a gift." Yin almost toppled over trying to lift the peony pot. It was much heavier than she thought it would be, which startled grandfather and her father. She fell towards Myung and he instinctively helped stop her from toppling over. Myung suddenly panicked. He unwittingly helped Yin. She should have fallen towards where her father is. Why did she fall towards his way? Aunt Iran transformed into a demon and roared, "Myung, what are you doing right now?" Which startled both Myung and Yin, but glancing at grandfather, staring at him, Myung must have felt it, instinctively, that at the current moment, protecting Yin was the right choice. Aunt Iran was too absorbed in her own hatred, she failed to recognize the situation. She continued her rampant, "Bekri Myung, are you out of your mind? Are you taking that little girl's side right now? In front of me? Bekri Yin, Bekri Myung. How are you two?" Yin cowered behind Myung, frightened of Aunt Iran's tantrum. Myung asked Aunt Iran to please calm down. His father, Mook, strike Aunt Iran's acupoints, knocking her unconscious. Damn it, it'll take forever to pacify her later, Mook thought. But he can't let her incite his father's anger any further. He pacified his father, apologized, and reasoned that he was afraid Iran was a bit too worked up, so he struck her. Chi. She still has not come to her senses and she still complained the patriarch. He then instructed Mook to take Yiran back to her residence. Mook felt like he just escapes a catastrophe and complied. This situation caused Yian to understand that grandfather is rather weak against his family. So even if Anne is kicked, it is obvious that she will be back in 4 to 5 years. Then it must not end with just being kicked out. Grandfather, she called and pleaded. I am fine. Father also went and brought back peonies for me, and I even got this flower pot as well. And Brother Myung was originally close to brothers Pyo and Ok. It would have been harder for him to stop them. So, I do not want grandfather to be too angry, as I can see the flowers again next year. Grandfather took a moment to observe her and then replied, flower bloom and fall, so do not alternate it between happiness and sadness. She let out a silly laugh and replied, oh yes, that is right. Grandfather lectured, can you really laugh right now? Which caused her to close her mouth instantly. He reprimanded, you did not do anything right either. Do you think all is fine and well if you do not argue? How admirable, so admirable. Even bringing a gift to plead for the ones who harassed you. You are no better when it comes to the Baekri family losing face in front of Namgung Wan. No matter what anyone says, my decision will not change. No, this is better. Pointing his finger at Kong and Yian, he ordered, you, too, should watch clearly from over there. Yian quickly moved over next to her father. She expected this much, but her goal right now is not grandfather, but if you came to the central hall to talk about such nonsense. Grandfather rubbed his temple and stared at Myung. He called, Baekri Myung, I'm sure you feel something from this? Yes, sire. Myung replied nervously. Yian's goal is Baekri Myung. Brother, are you all right? Looking at the swollen, whipped hands, Myung heard Yian asked. He turned his head to look at her coming in with Suk-ga-yak. Myung asked, how did young Master Suk get into the room? Suk-ga-yak reached to his inner chest pocket and said Jang asked him to deliver the item. It is an ointment. He asked Myung for his palms. Grandfather caned Baekri Myung and grounded him for half a year. Myung groaned when Suk-ga-yak rubbed the ointment on his palms. On the other hand, the twins' punishment was pushed back. Grandfather is leaving it to Yiran's choice since she was already punished with the 3 choices to choose from. Myung uttered unhappily, why was he the only one who got hit in the end? And grounded for half a year on top of that. What is he supposed to say to his friends? Tell them he got into trouble for doing something so cowardly? Although he could not stop the twins from messing with Yun, he did not think so far as to discard something she gave. This is so unfair for him. Brother, Yian's call woke him from his own thoughts. She asked if it hurts a lot. She reached over to wipe the sweat from his face with her handkerchief. The only thing he felt right now was to feel touched by Yian's action. Myung said to Yian, I've only shown you a poor side of myself all this time, haven't I? I'm sorry about that. It's okay, she replied. Compared to Yian, who told him that he was not at fault, what did the twins do? He made up his mind. As cousins, let's get along well from now on, Myung suggested. His statement caused dissatisfaction from the twins. How could you say that? Asked one of the twins discontently. He reasoned. Because of that lowly thing we are about to be kicked out of the family right now. Calm down, Pyo. Myung replied. He thought, it has not even been long since he got caned, and Pyo already raising his voice. Pyo asked unhappily, what do you mean calm down? You pull yourself together first, brother. Baekri Pyo. What kind of rude behavior is this, in front of an outsider? Pyo answered, it is all because of that lowly thing. Yian and Ga-yak observed the commotion between the twins and Myung. Again, she had the same expression, it is those eyes again. Ga-yak suggested for them to go. Just as Ga-yak and Yian were walking away, Ok, one of the twins pointed his finger at them and questioned, you already knew, didn't you? You knew that Namgung Wan was there, but purposely did not tell us, right? And that is why you gave over those flowers without a fuss too. Myung thought, what kind of nonsense is? Yian paused and turned around. Yian? Called Ga-yak. Stone face, with eyes, slightly narrowed, her mouth moved. That is right. Truthfully, I knew that the Namgung patriarch was there at the time. But so, what? Did I force you guys to step on the peonies? She let out a satisfied smirk, right before the door shut tight, leaving the twins to swear the living life force out of them. Ga-yak grabbed Yian's hand and asked, How did you do that? Do what? She asked. The soundless transmission. He answered. Feigning ignorance, she replied, I do not know what you're talking about. Can I take your pulse? Sure, she replied lazily. It's weird. He was sure she does not have any chi. But he was sure what she did was, just how? He looked at her and noticed her nose bleeding. Yin, you. Don't tell me you used your innate vitality chi. Innate vitality chi. The natural energy one has from birth. The reason why Yin could do soundless transmission was because it was a sign of her past self-last-ditch effort, her struggle to learn martial arts. One day, she did learn how to use innate vitality as internal chi. Gayak wiped her nose blood and asked, This is the side effect you got from using sound transmission, right? But innate vitality chi is one's longevity. If you run out of it, then you will die. Yin brushed Gayak's hand off, still pretending to not know what he was saying. She thought, why is he catching on so fast? She blushed for Gayak to leave it be for now. She will wipe it off herself. He said he will not ask her any more questions if she stays still, which Yin automatically remained still and quiet. Gayak said he know what she is thinking. She wanted to drive a wedge between her aunt and uncle through Myung, right? Yin glared at him like, You're so eerily smart. I need to stay away from you. Gayak sighed. Don't look at me like that. We're friends, aren't we? I will keep it a secret. She thought, that is exactly why I cannot trust you, so Gayak. Gayak asked for a favor from Yin. She looked at him and said okay. He asked, shyly, even if she is at the Namgung family, will she write to him every now and then? A few days later, Ian Du was seen busy preparing. Ian could not wait and see what decision Aunt made, like how she left the residence. But she cannot witness it because they're also busy preparing for the journey to the Namgung family. Her father took her with him to the Namgung family. The all-knowing doctor, with the reputation of the world's greatest doctor, he was very skilled in the treatment of blood and internal injuries. But 10 years ago, he vowed to never get involved with people in Murim and hid himself from the world. Though the destination is the Namgung family, but in actuality, it was probably to stop by the all-knowing doctor to cure her dantian. In her past life, she missed the golden opportunity by a hair's breadth. This time around, she cannot miss this chance. They did not bring a lot of stuff as they need to reduce the number of people who know about the doctor as much as possible. Yin, someone called. She turned to her side and saw Myung coming over. It's been a while. He greeted. Yin noticed he looked a little pale. She guessed it's true that Aunt and her twins have been pestering Uncle and his family since then. Myung asked if she is going to Senior Namgung Wan. Yes, she answered and elaborated that she will be meeting him halfway there. I see. I know Uncle will take good care of you, but still, take care of yourself. Yin could have never imagined a send-off like this in the past. She wondered if everything is going as planned. Myung then performed an essay speech. If you happen to meet Senior Namgung, then I would really appreciate it if you told him that I'm deeply ashamed of myself for showing him an immature side to myself then. Of course, I'm not forcing you to say that, but simply asking you to do so. So, please don't think ill of me and tell him well about me and more. The rest is omitted. I have an ardent one-sided love for Senior Namgung. Yin thought, it would be nice if I could escape from here with Mr. Tu. Myung ended his speech with, and this is what my father told me to give you. He handed her an ingot. She beamed excitingly and thought, I take that back. It was worth listening to if it's this. She happily accepted the ingot and replied, of course. I'll convey that to him well. This child was a child who knew the taste of capitalism. Yin sat on the carriage, looking out the window, bored. She thought, she cannot just hang around in the carriage. The incense pouch that Mr. Wan asked for. With full determination, she will finish this before they arrive. After half a day, the unfinished embroider was on the ground farthest away from her. She looked like a person who was already dead but still has to get up and go to work. She started to question the existence of the incense pouch. This useless body of mine. I should have asked Suk-Gayak for some motion sickness medicine. Her eyes are closing shut. Next thing she saw her father looking down at her. Father? She called. Why are you here? He put his large palm on her forehead and told her not to worry and just lie down. She felt like she is having a good dream. The carriage ride went on for a few days. Yin finally woke up to an unfamiliar ceiling. She had flashback of her father, staying next to her the entire time, holding her hand, and restoring her stamina by injecting qi into her body. Seeing that she is woken up, her father asked her to have dinner. He will tell them to bring the food to the room. No, she rejected the idea. She wanted to eat downstairs. She has only been holed up in the carriage had she wanted to get some fresh air. Yin's father held her on his arms and took her downstairs, where they were greeted by Shim Ji-pyung, aide of Namgung Wan. He asked if Yin was feeling better. She replied cheerfully, yes. She is all fine. The server asked what they would like to eat. Yin's father said he will have something simple. His child is not feeling well, so is it possible to have porridge? Yin frowned. Porridge again? Father, she called. I want to eat dumplings. He replied, it's bad for the stomach. Giving him the innocent beggar eyes, she said she want to eat it. He quickly acquiesced and told the server to bring a side of dumpling. Yin finally smiled happily, getting her dumpling. When the server brought the food over, the server asked, seeing your sword, young master, you are Gango martial artist, right? Yin answered pridefully, that's right. Isn't he cool? You'll know who he is if you hear his name. Sever asked, if you are that famous, then you can probably wield a sword, yes? If so, you don't have to worry, and you have a lot in your party too. But still, please be careful. There have been quite a few missing children around here these days. Yin felt glad. She wanted to go downstairs. This case, which also appeared in the original story, was one of the decisive reasons why she wasn't able to get treated by the all-know doctor in the past. Please leave a comment of 3 words or more for the next part. Like, share, and subscribe to help support this channel for more contents and faster release. The server explained, you do not have to worry too much, as you'll only staying here for 1 night before leaving. But I am telling you to be careful, just in case, young master. Did I scare a little young lady too much? The server asked. Yin answered cheekily, not at all. I'm not scared because father is here. He will protect me. Right, father? Yin's father nodded in agreement. A hand was seen, grabbing the chair away from the table. It is very lovely to see father-daughter relationship be this sweet. Namgung Wan sat down next to Yin with his usual, crossed arms posture and ordered, bring me a bowl too. Mr. Wan. Yin greeted happily. Yin's father asked, you are here? Namgung Wan replied, he already heard about it all, so there is no need to explain again. It is exactly as the server said. There are over 40 missing children, and countless more if they counted the beggar's children. In the past, Yin's father agonized greatly over this matter. He could not let a single second pass by for her sake, as he did not know just when the elusive all-knowing doctor would leave again. It would have been difficult, given father's disposition to ignore the situation in which innocent children were disappearing. Yikong, we can't take too long, suggested Namgung Wan. Made up his mind, he asked Yin to go up now. He will send her food up as well. What? He's kicking me out like this? No. She came down to find out how things were proceeding. Oh well, so? Well, I'm scared to be alone. She fussed, which caused Namgung Wan to spit out his drinks. Namgung Wan asked, you said you were not scared just a second ago. She denied, no, I'm scared. Kid, if you were going to make an excuse, make one that makes sense. Namgung Wan stated as he wiped his mouth. She came up with another excuse, I wasn't scared since father and Mr. Wan were right next to me of course. Suddenly, someone called, Senior Wan. A man carrying a spear on his back came in. Yin recognized him as one of the 10 powerful families, the second son of the Ok family, geniuses famed for music, Ok Jung-hae. Ok Jung-hae explained cheerfully that Senior So Young thought he saw Senior Wan. So, he came to look for Senior Wan in case it was really Senior Wan. Who knew? He meant Senior Wan. He greeted Namgung Wan, have you been well? And suddenly jumped in surprised when he noticed Yin's father. Senior Yikong? You were here as well, Senior. Then who is this adorable young lady? Gesturing his hand to her. Yikong answered, she is my daughter. Duh. Daughter? Ok Jung-hae couched down and patted her head side to side. She's so small. How cute. How old are you? Yin's soul was about to fly out of her body due to the motion. She's 6. What's 6? How come you're this tiny? Namgung Wan questioned. Are you patting her? or tormenting her? Ok Jung-hae snorted, feeling upset. By the way, Senior, I'm so disappointed in you. Without even telling us anything, to have a daughter this big already. Just when did you get married? Yeon's father's face darkened with glooms, while Namgung Wan felt a torrent headache coming on. Stone-faced Yeon thought, one thing is clear for sure. It's a fact that Ok Jung-hae lacks subtleties. Namgung Wan asked him, why is he here first? Seniors, have you heard of a temple called Sohisa? You have not heard of it? Then again, it is not a place where Miram nor Yeon is at. So, it's a given that you wouldn't have heard of it. I heard about it for the first time recently too, but the missing children at Sohisa are. In other words, thanks to Yeon for this lovely summary of what Ok Jung-hae said. The Murian Alliance sent the next generations, which he was one too, on a mission to find the missing children. You have come alone? No. Typically in dispatched missions, for member unit move together. You'll soon be able to see the others too. But Senior Kong usually moves alone. Wow! Yeon exclaimed. Her father really is the best. Ok Jung-hae replied, it was possible because he was that skilled. He's really incredible, right? If I was to talk about the senior's feats, one night won't be enough. Namgung Wan retorted, what's the point in bringing up the old days? I see you still talk about useless things. What do you mean useless things? Then he jumped to another topic. Have you been to the tavern over there? I had lunch over there, but their pork dish was. Namgung Wan interrupted. Are you even listening to me? Without even answering, he jumped to another topic. He told the seniors to wait a moment and flashed off. A moment later, he came back with a strawberry stick. Thankful, they were still selling it. Namgung Wan was so frustrated. He was wondering where Ok Jung-hae ran off to, but it was to buy that. What do you mean that? Ok Jung-hae replied unhappily. He brought the strawberry stick to Yeon. She thanked him, and he told her to enjoy it. Then he turned to Namgung Wan, Senior, children enjoy these sorts of things. You would regret it if you don't eat these snacks after coming all the way here. I have 6 younger siblings. I know without them saying it. As frustrated as Namgung Wan was with Ok Jung-hae, he couldn't refute it. Yeon took a bite of the strawberry glazed with sugar and thought, it was so yummy. She asked her father to have a bite too. He took a bit of the strawberry and instantly tasted too much sugars. She asked, is it too sweet for his liking? Her father replied, it's edible. She asked if he would like some more. Watching the father and daughter interaction, both Jung-hae and Namgung Wan were dazed momentarily. For Jung-hae, it was his first time seeing that side of Kong. Namgung Wan asked Jung-hae, where is his? Pardon? I wasn't able to eat dinner because of you. But none for me? Namgung Wan threatened. Oh. Jung-hae told Senior Wan, he will be right back with one. And off he went. Both Yeon and her father questioned his silliness. Yeon asked Namgung Wan to have a bite, reaching the strawberry stick up to him. After glancing at it, he finally took a bite. It's sweet, he said. That's what sweet and sour is. She answered cheerfully. Jung-hae was seen running back with a strawberry stick. He beamed happily as he handed the strawberry stick to Namgung Wan. Namgung Wan told him to eat it, which surprised him. They finally arrived at the place. Jung-hae pointed at the building. It's there, with the light and pine sectsade. We've solved the matter of room and board. Jung-hae knocked on the door. The moment the door opened, he was already scolded. Senior Ok. Where have you been? He was the light pine sect disciple. Bok-chun. He stopped suddenly when he noticed the people behind. Is the vice clan leader? Asked Senior Ok. Pardon? I can't let them in recklessly though. There are seniors from Miram Alliance. They're here to help. I'll explain the details slowly, so tell the vice clan leader that we'll be waiting in the Azure Hall. Someone pulled Senior Ok's ear and asked loudly, where on earth have you been? Song Yeol and Hai Hyang are looking for you right now. Ik Jung-hae screamed, oh ouch. It hurts. But I told them I was going out. Told what? No one knows where you went, screamed the other person. After a silent moment, Jung-hae questioned, did I not tell them? Did you? Did you? The person continued pulling Jung-hae's ear. He screamed. Why? Why? Wait. Oh ouch. It hurts. Look behind me? He turned to see what's behind and saw the people standing. You're still the same as ever, Tang So-young. He was the head of this dispatch mission of the Miram Alliance. In the hall, Ingzone clan vice leader, Jo wook them. To think the high-reputed Grandmaster Baek and Grandmaster Namgung would come here personally, I am deeply grateful. The clan leader is feeling unwell, hence why I'm the one greeting you. I hope you don't mind it. Namgung greeted and hoped the leader makes a full recovery soon. Jo Wook explained that the Yingzhong clan are very eager to investigate the missing case, but as the elder is bedridden, they can't act recklessly. They can only thank the two grandmasters for coming to aid them. Yi Kong and Wan asked him Jo Wook to report how the situation is, which he gladly complied. At first, only 1 or 2 young beggars disappeared. However, it is common for beggars to disappear and appear again, so everyone thought they either died or went to a better place to beg. The people who finally noticed that something was strange started to ask around, and that's when they found out that the young beggars went missing too. It's been a year. If combined with the beggars, the total with the newborn babies, over 50 children have gone missing. Now, houses with children will lock their doors once the sun sets, and they aren't let out at all costs. But even after such strict supervision by the parents, it keeps happening helplessly. The government also told them not to make a fuss about a few children that have gone missing. And that's how they ended up requesting help from the Miram Alliance. Zheng He entered the room and announced that the rest of the team has arrived. 2 people entered and greeted happily. They are Byok Song Yul of Mount Hin, Ji, and Ma Haihyang of Azure City. Song Yul announced excitingly, "It's a great honor to meet you." Yi Kong introduced Yin, his daughter, to the new faces while Namgung Wan thought it's his first time seeing their faces. Yin greeted hello to the people. Haihyang was surprised when she heard daughter, while Song Yul blushed. Tang So Yong explained that it's Song Yul's first appearance as a disciple of Mount Hong. It is also his first mission. Yi Kong commented, "Someone will always have their first mission. Song Yul can just act accordingly to what he learned calmly. Even if something unprecedented happens, he can trust Tang So Yong." Jo Wook felt relieved to hear that. He requested for help, but did not think the Miram Alliance would be this concerned over this matter. Yin observed her father. She thought he must be thinking about it hard, whether if he is going to help or not. There has been a misunderstanding. We aren't here because the Miram Alliance sent us. We were going to our destination and just happened to pass by. Well, when we met Zheng He, we asked if he needed any help. With all due respect, seeing how the investigation has been done up until now, it seems like the juniors will do well on their own. Don't you think so? Namgung Wan asked Yi Kong. Yes, Yi Kong answered. We shall take her leave. My daughter is not in good condition, so we were on our way to treat her. We cannot delay this any longer. So we ask for your understanding. Yin thought, so this is what happens in the end. In the past, father bent his principles for her too. So young Miss Baek is not in good condition. They had no idea at all. Tang So Yong commented, "We are fine. It is our duty to begin with. We caused a nuisance to you." And Jo Wook replied, "There is nothing more important to a parent when their child is sick. It's not a matter that both you should trouble yourselves with. It is all right." Yi Kong thanked them for their understanding. But still, could you stay for at least 1 day and pass on your teaching? Song Yuk pleaded. Since he's the newest, he has a lot to learn. Young He asked, "What teachings?" "You are burdening the Sunbei Nims. We should be thankful that they even came here. It's a relief that we're here, right? If not, it'd be obvious that you were forced to come here without much choice." He then laughed heartily and added, "Well, you can repay us later. The opportunity for you to erase your debt won't come so easily, Sunbei Nims." Yin's father excused and say they will be leaving then. Just as the 2 adults stood up, Yin grabbed onto her father's shirt, saying she is fine, so please solve this case. She cannot leave it like this. The lives of the up-and-coming youngsters here will be in danger. This case isn't an ordinary missing case in the first place. This is a murder case by the notorious evil spirits on top of that. Surprised, Namgung Wan asked, "Baek Yin, have you not been listening to what we've been talking about up until now?" "Ajusi, father, please listen to me just this once." Zheng He raised his hands and suggested they at least hear listen to Yin first. Yin had flashback of the previous life where Zheng He died in this case. At his memorial service, people can be heard talking about how he left. They all expected highly of him, but he just had to get involved in the case. The remaining 4 members, they all can no longer wield their sword except for Tang So Yong. Unfortunately, Namgung Wan intervened late and was able to save them. They lost the culprit thought. How regrettable, sighed another person. This case is a sub-story incited by the wicked villain, using curing her illness as an excuse. It was no more than a tool to show the ill-fated relationship with the villain, which has been passed on since the generation of the main character's parents. Ian explained, I heard that father has never turned his eyes away from the weak all his life, and I always thought that I wanted to become someone like father. However, if we ignore those who are in difficulties just because my matters are more urgent, then I can no longer say that I want to take after him in the future. In order to sort out the case, Namgung Wan ended up straying from his party. And even after seeing the name plaque, the physician of all beings rejected her father's request. Already hung up on the guilt of not being able to save them, father fell into agony for not being able to bring Namgung Wan. And at that time, they ended up losing the trace of the physician of all beings again. It was just one time. And yet, she could always see her father's face full of regret for ignoring the cry of his own heart. Ian thought, finding the physician of all beings is important too, but in this life, she does not want her father to feel regret. Namgung Wan complained how frustrating. Kong, you should at least say something. She's your daughter, isn't she? I know that I should not act this way for your sake, however, I am happy for you. Kong said full of emotion. Namgung Wan complained, I cannot look at this anymore. Just don't regret this, you father and daughter pair. And with that, he stormed off. At night, Ian was sleeping. She slowly opens her eyes and wonders why it is so noisy. She got up and walked outside to see what's with all the commotion. Her father was already outside observing the chaos. She stood next to him and asked what's going on. He told her to not mind it and go back to sleep. But she wanted to say something, but she heard two people sobbing about Bukchion's death. They can't believe he's dead. The Grandmaster Namgung and the seniors from Urim Alliance are yet to investigate this, Vice Clean Leader, so please calm down, okay? Bukchion is the most skilled amongst us, said another person. Are you saying that a disciple of the Ingzone clan died? Not even half a day has passed though. The pace of this case was not this fast in the past. Listening to all these conversations, Ian thought this is strange. What changed from back then? Ian, go back, her father told her gently, while patting her head. Ian figured it must be that father and Namgung Wan decided to stay. That's what changed. Father, where did Namgung Wan Ajusi go? She asked frantically. In the forest, a person was seen dead with his eyes still opened. Tang So-young swept her hand down his face to close his eyes. She saw that he was killed with one strike. The wound is not from a sword, it is not even from a blunt or a sharp weapon. How should she put it? There is also no trace of him unsheathing his sword. So, he died without even knowing he got ambushed. Concludes Song Yo. More like he got killed face on, suggested Namgung Wan. He thought, the fact that a martial artist died without even unsheathing his sword in a confrontational attack is strange. Who in the world did this? Zhou Amwa cried. Looking around, there are no traces of another person or anything strange. It's just an ordinary forest. Young Hei added. It's just an ordinary forest. She said. Hai Hyang agreed with Young Hei that it's just an ordinary forest. Someone conclude that they may not be able to uncover it because it's nighttime. But for now, it seems that he came here without his colleagues' knowledge, and there seems to be no reason why he had to come here. Namgung Wan analyzed, coming to a forest clearing without his colleagues' knowledge, and dying from a head-on attack without any resistance. This series of events makes it look as if he got murdered by someone he knew. Namgung Wan suddenly remembers something. I think I've seen this wound before. Where have you seen it? I'm sure I've seen a wound that looked like this before. It was definitely. Namgung Wan lunged at Tang So-young from an impending attack and he shouted, Tang So-young, stand back. He pushed Tang So-young back and blocked the attack from the enemy with his unsheathed sword. They both pulled away before attacking again. Vice Clan Leader, shouted Zhang Hei in shock of the turn of event. Vice Clan Leader and Namgung Wan strike a few blows and separated. Namgung Wan retreated to where Tang So-young was and spat out a mouthful of blood from internal injuries. Vice clan leader seemed fine from the changed blows with Namgung Wan. Though he retreated back, he got back into stance for another strike. Seeing this, So-young yelled Vice clan leader, "What the hell is he doing?" Just then Zheng He called to So-young that he cannot use his internal arts. Hai Hyang agreed that she cannot use it either. So-young felt flustered and asked if Namgung Wan is the same too. Namgung Wan spat another mouth of blood and answered, "It's arts dispersing poison." "When did he?" asked So-young. "Ha ha ha ha," the vice clean leader laughed. "Didn't each of you drink a glass of water on the way? You nasty bastard," scolded So-young. "Humph, I don't want to hear that from a Tang family bastard who uses poison," replied the vice clan leader. Although surrounded, vice clan leader didn't look bothered at all. He got in stance for the next blow. So does Song Yeo. He looked nervous as he got ready to defend the next attack. Vice clan leader glanced at him as it seems he's the weakest link. Vice clan leader swung an attack at Song Yeo, leaving after image of blazing energy trailing behind the attack. Though he blocked with his sword, he still got injured and flew backward. Tang So-young threw her kunai knives at the clan leader where he can only evade, but only backward, putting a distance between him and Song Yeo. Vice clan leader thought, this is why he should handle the Tang wench first. He did not even use poison on her because he was worried that she would have noticed. Hai Hyang and Zheng He lunged at the vice clan leader with their weapons hoping to land an attack on him. But he only smirked, how weak they are. He sent an energy blow at them, sending them flying off. Zheng He and Hai Hyang fell on the ground and the impact made them spat out blood. Seeing her teammates injured, upset team leader So-young. So-young hurled knives at vice clan leader, shouting, "You bastards." Vice clan leader evaded all of them with ease, startling So-young. The internal force from the vice clan leader caused the ground to sunken below his feet. With full force, he sprung towards So-young and Namgung Wan, excited that it's all over now. Tang So-young looked so flustered. How was she going to stop the attack? Suddenly, a white light flashed before her, leaving trails of lights and dust. The light headed straight towards the vice clan leader. Yi Kong swung his sword at the vice clan leader who was able to block with his bared arm, before the both of them retreated. The wind created by the energy momentarily blinded So-young, but once she opened her eyes, it was as a life-savior shone brightly before. Yi Kong retreated back and stood in front of So-young while pointing his sword at the enemy. She felt so happy seeing Senior Yi Kong presence. She called out, "Yi Kong Sunbianan." Yi Kong asked what's the situation. Namgung Wan replied, "It's the chi dispersing poison. All of them, except Tang So-young, have been afflicted." Flustered, vice clan leader asked just how Yi Kong was able to be here. Yi Kong answered, "That's what I wanted to ask. I remember that I cut your face in half that time. It seems the heavens isn't on my side, seeing how you've survived like this." Surprised, Namgung Wan yelled, "The thousand ghost face. I thought I'd seen that somewhere before." The thousand ghost face laughed, ki, while putting his palm on his face, and torn off the face mask. "It's great that you're able to recognize me, Baekri Yi Kong." The thousand ghost face, a decade ago, an infamous demonic master who kidnapped countless children in the Guizhou province region. He, who went in and out of the dense forest that he had made his home, was notorious for killing or seriously maiming all those who came to subjugate him with his never-before-seen rare items and strong martial arts. And, in the midst of all this helplessness, there was a hero that appeared like a nova. Baekri Yi Kong. A decade ago, during an encounter with the mere 20 years old Baekri Yi Kong, the infamous master sustained a fatal injury and fled from the scene. He was able to live, despite such a grave injury? Asked Zheng He while being helped to stand up by Hai Hyang. "So-young," Yi Kong called, "can you detoxify the poison in Wan?" She answered, "It's possible. However, the process of neutralizing the poison requires a chi breathing regulation. Then, you'll have to deal with the thousand ghost face alone." Yi Kong replied that she does not have to worry about him. So-young explained, "It depends on the severity of the addiction state, but it won't exceed a single meal. On the side note, one meal is about 30 minutes. Yi Kong told So-young to focus on detoxifying Wan. Thousand Ghost Face smirked, pointing his finger at Yi Kong. Huh, you're facing me right now. But you're going to do some chi breath regulation? Hai Hiang and Zheng He stood on each side, guarding So Yong and Namgung Wan. Thousand Ghost Face screamed, I see you all are brimming with confidence. He flew toward Yi Kong, attacking the first strike. Yi Kong moved his sword, gentle like wind, leaving multiple afterimage and blocked the attack. The Thousand Ghost Face was just equally fast with his attacks, which caused Zheng He to be surprised. He observed the fight of a different scale. He cannot believe Senior Yi Kong completely fended off that attack. Moreover, he noticed that in the midst of all that, Senior is steadily guiding the Thousand Ghost Face in a different direction. Frustrated being unable to land a blow on Yi Kong in the flatland is too much for him, the Thousand Ghost Face have no choice but to retreat towards the heavily wooded area. He can only lure Yi Kong to where he has the advantage. Noticing his retreat, Yi Kong chased after the Thousand Ghost Face, not letting the Thousand Ghost Face out of his sight. Once the tension finally calmed down, Zheng He spat more blood and asked where is Song Yul. Hai Hiang was worried of Zheng He's as she replied does not know. Song Yul disappeared at some point. She is sure he will bring support. She noticed that everyone's internal injuries are far worse than she had thought. She prayed to herself, please, someone come, anyone. In the woods, Yi Kong walked while remained vigilant of the Thousand Ghost Face. There was no sign of him, he thought. The Thousand Ghost Face was hiding at the treetop, looking down at Yi Kong, while hiding his presence, waiting for the opportunity to attack. When he noticed the chance, he jumped down to attack Yi Kong, but with great sense of hearing, Yi Kong heard the noise as soon as the Thousand Ghost Face jumped down, thus blocking the attack was effortless for Yi Kong. The Thousand Ghost Face attack failed and thus retreated. Using a technique, he moved fast and seemed to camouflage into the environment. While moving around and camouflaging himself, he taunted Yi Kong, that reminds me, Beak Song Yul. I heard something interesting form that dunce of the South Mount Hang, that your daughter is sick because she is an imbecile, am I right? Yi Kong sliced the tree in half, but the Thousand Ghost Face was not there. The Thousand Ghost Face laughed at Yi Kong's failed action to slice him in half, continued with his taunting, a crippled, from a martial arts family who has a shattered dantian. Ha 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 ha. There must be quite a few people who hold a lot of resentment towards you for your actions, while pretending to be noble. I cannot believe she's a cripple who cannot even practice martial arts. Ha 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 ha. The voice seemed to be coming from all directions. It would be a fruitless effort if he doesn't do something. So, Yi Kong closed his eyes and started concentrating. He concentrated, listening, sensing the energies and noise around him, when he caught wisps of an incoming attack. He raised his sword and blocked the attack, and they both attacked each other and defend from each other in a tie. And even in this intense blow exchange, the Thousand Ghost Face continued mocking Yi Kong. Aren't you curious? Bekri Yi Kong? Just how many more days can your daughter survive in Gango? Hearing this, Yi Kong's eyes widened as his action startled slightly. Finally, the chance came. Thousand Ghost Face was able to break the flow of Yi Kong's sword's energy by taunting him. The golden opportunity. He rushed forward and landed a blow straight across Yi Kong's neck, shouting, "Die." Just as he thought, he sliced Yi Kong's neck. Since it seemed like Yi Kong fell backward, he sprung straight up, while touching his neck. With his agility, he reacted fast enough by springing backward and was able to avoid a fatal attack. Damn it! If only it was deeper. I could have killed him at that moment, complained the Thousand Ghost Face. Just then, he sensed an energy attack coming from behind. Namgung Wan sprung straight forward, pointing his sword directly at the Thousand Ghost Face, but the Thousand Ghost Face evaded the attack by lunging forward, putting a distance. He questioned, just how is Namgung Wan already healed? Namgung Wan shouted, Yi Kong. Then Yi Kong attacked Thousand Ghost Face from his direction. Thousand Ghost Face was only focusing on Namgung Wan in that moment that he forgot Yi Kong could also attack him. The tip of Yi Kong's sword scraped waist and blood squirted from the cut. Yi Kong then held his neck to make sure it wasn't bleeding. Being team-tagged attacked by Yi Kong and Namgung Wan, the Thousand Ghost Face has no choice but to flee. He sprung upward as that was the best escape route and used the trees as stepping board to escape from the two, while thinking, it is still tough to handle two of them at once. Namgung Wan asked if Yi Kong is all right. Yi Kong told him to chase after the thousand ghost face. Regrettably, the thousand ghost face have to fall back for now, but it seems that Yi Kong had foreknowledge of something that prompted his swift arrival to this place. Zheng He exclaimed. He sensed good energy and held Yian up like a rag doll, beaming with joy. It's coming from little Yian. I'm sure of it. Calm down, Senior Zheng He, told off by Hai Hiang. Yian thought, you reap what you sow. All she did was for her father and Mr. Want to stay a bit longer. But it was her who realized that Mr. Wan's party was in danger. And she ended up using that one hidden trump card that every child has for such situation. Zheng He replied, even if I think about it again, it's miraculous to learn about our situation through a dream and bring doctors and others to help us. He patted Yian's head and said, if it weren't for Yian, he could have died helplessly. Yian thought, that's right. She was so desperate that she lied on the floor and pretended that she had a nightmare. She complained to her father, if you don't go see Mr. Wan, I'm going to keep crying. Yian blushed, covered her face in embarrassment. Even thinking about it made her feel ashamed. But thanks to that, the group was able to survive. Tang Soyoung asked, what do you think happened to Song-Yil? Hai Hiang replied, it'd be good if he doesn't encounter the thousand ghost face. Nervous, Yian thought, I cannot bring myself to reveal his whereabouts. Even in the novel, he just played the role of uselessly running away. The door was pushed open, and a staff came in to announce that Master Baekri has returned. Yian beamed with joy. Father is back. Entered was her father and Namgung Wan's aide, Shim. Yian welcomed her father back with joy expressed on her face. She rushed towards him, but he stopped her by holding her forehead to stop her in place. You're covered in dust, said her father. Unhappy, she complained. She felt okay, though. Tang So-Young welcomed the Sunbi Nims back and asked about Wan Sunbae. Was there any problem? Aide Shim replied, Master Namgung is relentlessly pursuing the traces of the thousand ghost face, and as a result, we were able to locate his base. The answer shocked Tang So-Young. Finally, the base. Then the missing children. Yian felt saddened by this news, thinking, unfortunately, they're probably all dead. Suddenly, Aide Shim said there is a survivor. What? A survivor? The survivor came from behind Aide Shim and showed himself, a little boy with dark black hair. Yian thought there were no survivors in her past life, though. Why is my heart racing? Yi Kong suddenly asked, Yian, what are you holding in your hands? This distracted Yian. Oh, these are the snacks that Zheng He brother brought me. I heard you were back, so I was thinking we could eat it together. Would you? She held out the snack box to her father. He replied, he's all right without it. Hi, do you also want to eat it? Yian asked the survivor boy. It's a good thing that there is a survivor. I heard it's from a famous place. You should try one too. Yian handed a snack to his hand. She thought to herself, he must be traumatized. I should give him good things to eat and treat him well. I'm Baekri Yian. She introduced herself. What's your names? She asked. But why does she felt so disarrayed? Yian moved her eyes up to see her father and noticed the bandage around his neck. It was the first time she saw her father's injury. Then she thought of her neck and looked back at the survivor boy. He replied slowly, Yayul. She suddenly felt an itching sensation on her neck. In the novel, the eminent Grice did not reveal himself until much later in the plot. The place where he should be right now is the House of the Wicked. It's like a prison in the Muram Alliance where criminals whose crimes were serious in nature are imprisoned. So why is he, a child who should be there, is here? Yian was hiding behind the door, eavesdropping in the adult conversation. How is he doing? Tang So-Young asked. The staff replied, he was quiet during the bath. Even when I asked him where his home was, he did not respond or ask any questions. Is that so? What should we do? Tang So-Young asked Aide Shim. The staff continued, but there were quite a few wounds on his body. If we add the recent wounds to the old ones, there are quite. Aide Shim shouted, who is there? Dread. Yian complained, martial artists are really. It's so hard to eavesdrop. It cannot be helped. Ian stepped out from the side and laughed. Hee. It's me. I need to act harmless and innocent. Tang So-young thought. How cute. And asked what brings her there? Acting all cute and innocent, like a child who does not know anything at all, she said. I came because I wanted to see the child father brought, but it seems like you were in the middle of a serious conversation. Shim thought. Ian came to play with someone her age. Ian showed a box to the adults and said, earlier, it seemed like he was hurt, so I bought some ointment too. The adult beamed at her cuteness. Ian asked if she can personally deliver the ointment to him. The adult went to discuss. Tang So-young said, since they are around the same age, maybe the boy will open up more easily with Ian. From what was said earlier, he was well behaved. And Ian seemed a bit lonely because she was by herself too. Shim said, they can just stay in the front of the door to keep watch. Maybe it will be okay. Tang So-young went back to Ian and told her, if you don't like that child, then you don't have to force yourself to talk to him and come out. All right? Yes, she complied. Phew. She succeeded in going in, but her heart is still pounding. Ian patted her chest and touched her neck. She encouraged herself. It's okay. You can do this. It hasn't happened yet. She has to find out the reason if she does not want history to repeat itself. The reason why Yayul is here. Looking at his side view, she was shocked. Why couldn't she recognize him immediately when he looked so similar? Made up her mind, she has to say something. Anything. The boy glanced at her, touched the flower, and it wilted instantly, turning lifeless. Forbidden demonic breath techniques? It's a martial arts technique that forcibly extracts the true qi of others' vitality and converts it into one's own internal qi. Its very name instills fear in those who are orthodox. You. He called slowly. Ian stepped forward and yelled, stop it, that technique. Does father know that you can perform this technique? It was because of that technique. That's why Yayul, the sole survivor of the 1,000 Ghost Face, couldn't be protected and was imprisoned in the House of the Wicked. He knows? Then what about the others? Asked Ian. The others don't know, the boy replied. Ian guessed, it's probably true. If the others knew, there was no way she would be allowed in the same room with him. Forget about protection, he would have been sent straight to the Miram Alliance. He asked, you aren't here to kill me? Shocked, she asked why would she kill him? He answered, that's what the 1,000 Ghost Face said. In her past life, Yael had an abnormal obsession with her. To be precise, she, the daughter of Bekri Kong. What if it was the 1,000 Ghost Face who taught Yael the forbidden demonic breath technique? If that is the case, why did he teach Yael this technique? Ian? Why are you causing trouble here instead of just waiting? I told Shim to not let anyone in. How did you get? Before he completed his sentence, he noticed the wilted flowers in the vase. He frowned, unhappily. If it was anyone else except my daughter who had seen you do that, you would have been apprehended immediately. It cannot be helped if you don't believe my words. I won't stop you if you choose to pay for your sins. That may not be a bad idea. Afterward, Ian's father held her in his arms and took her back to her room. He sat her down and said he was considering taking the child. If Yael wanted to live without resorting to demonic techniques, he wanted to give Yael that chance. Ian had a lot to say, such as the risk of hiding Yael. But her father told her, it's all my fault for not properly killing the 1,000 Ghost Face in the past. Therefore, it's only right that I take responsibility. I don't want to be a disgrace to you. With those sincere thoughts, how could she deny him? The road leading to the all-knowing doctor was rough. The heavy rain kept falling and stopping repeatedly, and the dirt road became so muddy that the carriage wheels got stuck multiple times and eventually fell off. At their destination, another incident was waiting for them. Did you find them all? Asked Namgung Wan. Yes, I have found all of them in the vicinity for now. 13 corpses in total, all of which had stab wounds. Replied Shim. The area around the Bagua village is safe. Should we expand our search area a bit? Asked Shim. Namgung Wan replied, yes, let's broaden it a little more. Their primary goal is to find out whether the all-knowing doctor is alive. The secondary goal is... Ian, counting her finger and doing the math, there are 5 children in Bagua village. 1 corpse of an adult and 1 of a child is missing. Although she did not see all the faces of the corpses, the circumstances suggest that there is a high possibility that the all-knowing doctor and the errand child are alive. Yian patted her head. At least, that is what she hoped for. Yian? Her father called. Are you all right? Father? I'm fine. I don't know if it's because of the location, but may I take a short walk? Yian have to confirm it. The house where the all-knowing doctor lived in the past. Her father couched down to her height and answered, Sure. But you must not go too far. Yes. She replied cheerfully. Walking around the vicinity, she saw broken houses, collapsed building, but noticed that Yayul is following her every step of the way. It seemed like he won't stop following her. Yian thought it's like mother duck and newly hatched baby duck. There was a little child that the all-knowing doctor kept as a servant. He was a child with aphasia who had lost all his relatives in a landslide. And perhaps, because he was saved by the doctor, the child's emotion was especially unusual. Looking around, Yian heard that he hid around here during the landslide. She should have paid more attention to the details of what happened then. Suddenly, Yayul called out to her, Are you looking for this thing here? He was over by a large tree. She walked over and asked what he meant by here. Yayul answered, The gap's in the roots here. It's a really small hole, though, Yian stated as they peeked through the gap. Laying in the roots gap is a little boy. Father, Yian called out. Yi Kong checked the child's forehead for signs of illness. Yian asked her father how is the child. He replied, The child has a high fever. He showed signs of dehydration. It seemed like he has been left unattended for more than a day, but at this rate. He suggested they have to go back to the village quick. No, that would be futile. There are no doctors in the nearby village. She reminded. Oh, that's right. Yi Kong just remembered. Then they will have to ask the child about the all-knowing doctor and the people who attacked this village. Yian suggested, earlier, she noticed there were some herbs left in the remains of the burnt house. She will go see if there are any medicinal herbs that can be of use. Her father asked if she can pick out the medicinal herbs. Yian turned to her father and laughed, Of course. If we had the sheer amount of medicine you've fed me thus far, I could possibly set up our own clinic, could I not? He could only look at her, mesmerized by how bright she has become. Yian returned with the medicine to see Yayul tending to the sick child. Yayul seemed like he was used to nursing injuries. She asked where her father is. Yayul said he had some stuff to bring. Really? She clarified as she sat on the edge of the porch. She touched her neck and still have not figured out how to face Yayul. It's something that hasn't happened yet. Even though she tries to forget the past and adopt the mindset that she should treat him well, but whenever she saw his face, she is being reminded of what happened back then. She asked him. It seemed like he is used to nursing. He replied, his mother was sick quite often. Surprised, she asked, You have a mother? She suddenly realized that was a ridiculously stupid question. Even the antagonist who is as significant as the protagonist would have a mother. She stated, embarrassingly, I don't have one. So? He asked, You don't have a mother? Yeah. My mom wasn't around even before I could remember anything. He said, You still have a father. Yian beamed. That's right. Perhaps, Yayul might be a better child than she had thought. She asked him, Where is your mother now? He stated, She has passed. At that moment, she may have been a bit too complacent about fate. Feeling something moved from behind, Yian turned around to check on the boy. She noticed he was conscious and slowly started to come around. Excited that he has awakened, she told him, We found you lying inside the root of an old tree. And we are. The boy grabbed her arm and tried talking. He has aphasia, so he could only utter words that does not make sense, but his flustered facial expression may have meant he wanted to know what happened to the others. Since she could not understand, she asked him what's wrong. For now, if he can get up, then. Suddenly, they felt the vibration around them. Yian looked up and wondered, Wow, what is that? A landslide? Large rocks were tumbling down from the mountains, falling to the area where they are. Yian, Yayul, and the little boy fled the area, running away from the falling rocks. She saw large rocks falling and thought that there's only a little left to do. That if this incident works out, that Dantian could be fixed as well. She instinctively pushed the little boy away from the falling rocks. Sometimes later, Yian, lying down, started to regain consciousness. It took a moment for her to realize her dire situation. She sat up and noticed there are lights. I'm alive, aren't I? She thought. She tried to move, but felt her entire body hurts. How could it be like this? I thought I had finally got to where the all-knowing doctor was, but the all-knowing doctor that should have been here wasn't. And when I thought I'd narrowly came across a child who could be a clue at the scene of the attack, a landslide occurred. At this point, it's like the heavens are dead set on not letting my dandion get fixed. Yin concluded as she held onto the side wall to help her walk forward. No, Yin. Let's not think negatively. For now, focus on surviving. She felt and observed the wall. It's ringing. The walls and floors are level as if they were replaced. She deducted. For there to be a man-made cave in a place like this. She had survived thanks to it, but she still has no clue where she is at. Ahead of her, she saw something that looked like a creaked door, and in the gaps, there was light shining. She entered the room and was surprised what's in the room. A medicinal storage? Neatly organized jars, pill bottles, books, human body illustrations, and supplies. She asked herself, is this the all-knowing doctor's secret storage? Ian picked up a box, opened it, and saw that it is the light circulation pill. She cannot believe the all-knowing doctor has this. This is incredible, isn't it? Ian wanted to give this all to her father. She sighed and leaned on a box to rest. That is only possible if she is able to get out of the secret room. Ian thought, it's getting harder and harder to move. She would look around and take some medicine, but they're all related to qi. So it does not suit her. Ian closed her eyes and contemplated. There is no way to get out from inside the room, so what should she do now? Suddenly, she heard a tapping sound. Her eyes widened as she stood up. Surely, is father looking for me? That's right. Who else would tap on the wall like this? She looked like her energy was restored as she paced around the room looking for a way out. Ian approached a wooden shelf on the wall. She wondered what is behind the wall shelf. She glanced around and noticed the dust is swept towards one direction. She walked up to the table and grabbed a box. Ian started messing around, hoping she is doing it the right way. After toggling with the box, the shelf door automatically propped open. She felt excited but was quickly shaken by the sight she saw. It was covered in blood, and behind those doors was a person, sitting, covered in blood. Startled at the gruesome sight, her legs went weak and she fell backward, trembling in fear. A corpse? But the finger was tapping. No, it's a living person. The injured person spoke. There is nothing to be afraid of, as I'm the one who called you. If it's not a corpse, then shouldn't she do something? She asked, are you all right? She stood up and paced around, panicking treatment. No, I'll get some medicine. The heavily injured person stopped her. There is no need for that. Yin. Hearing her name, she paused and glanced back at the injured person. What? How? Did you know my name? The injured person replied, how could I not know when you've been this eager to find me? Yes, so. Your qi is crippled. Shocked, Yin instinctively knew. The all-knowing doctor. The thick smell of blood flickered across the tip of her nose. She knew he does not have much time left. That, she is sure of it. The all-knowing doctor asked, what happened to the demonic man above? Just as she was thinking of a better way to put into words. Well? The all-knowing doctor told her to tell him the truth. She gave a short answer. Everyone has died, and were burnt. I see, he answered. Ian stated, there is one person alive. Before the landslide completely covered everything, she saw it. The figure of her father yanking away that child, Sonak. Ian told the doctor, the child should have survived. Keek. Ho ho. If it's your father, you mean? Bekri Yikong? The all-knowing doctor asked. I too have heard of his character and skill. If that's true. Ian stated sharply. It is true. The all-knowing doctor asked, why did such a distinguished man like himself save another child instead of you? Ian stuttered. That isn't because of father's ability. Ian told of what happened in the last moment before she fell to the secret room. She pushed the two children towards her father. The all-knowing doctor asked. You pushed him? You? She stated, father only has 2 arms. He asked, so, you pushed your father in order to save 2 children, and then got swept away by the landslide? Sadly, Ian replied, rather than saving, I made a choice. The all-knowing doctor said, isn't the same thing. However, if I didn't do that, Then while holding me, father would have chosen only one of the two children. Father is an upright person who has never turned away those in need. I could not just let father make that difficult decision. Shocked of Yian's action, the doctor asked hurriedly, "Then are you saying that you're all right with dying?" Before he could complete the word, he started coughing, having been worked up with that statement. "Elder," Yian called out worriedly. The all-knowing doctor's vision is getting cloudy. "Elder, how can we get out of here?" she asked. The all-knowing doctor mumbled, "To be of the orthodox, they're treacherous, but in the end." Confused, Yian called out again, "Elder?" The all-knowing doctor grabbed her shoulders and asked, "You said you wanted to fix your dantian? Yes? There is no time left, so I'll give you this instead." There was a yellow glow in the all-knowing doctor's pupils which shook Yian. The doctor said, "How you will use this, that's up to your will." Outside, above the landslide, the sun was shining. "It's already been 2 months," said one of the men digging the ground as he rested on the shovel. He had a buzzed haircut. There is no way she would still be alive now. It should be time to give up too. Young Master Beckery should know this as well too. The other man with hair bun wiped the sweat off his forehead and asked, "Don't you think he wants to be able to retrieve her corpse at the very least? Do you think even he knew a terrible thing like this would happen? But that doesn't mean he can just leave his child behind, can he?" The buzzed hair man replied, "Then again, he should recover her body. If a child's buried in a place like this alone, then she won't be able to enter nirvana properly," stated the man with a hair bun. "Look over there," pointed the buzzed haircut man. The man with the hair bun glanced into the distance and complained. "What? He went in again. That rascal keeps on getting in the way of the search-in." "No way," said the other man. "Look carefully. On the child's back, doesn't it look like he has something on his back?" Sometimes later, Yian's eyes were bandaged. She was being attended by a doctor and aide Shim. The doctor asked how is her eyes? She replied it's much better. Aide Shim asked, "Just why are Milady's eyes like that?" The doctor is not sure either. It could be because she had stayed in the dark for too long, but that he is not sure of. Aide Shim asked, "You're not sure?" The doctor stated, if it's because she had not seen the sun, then her eyes should have gotten better as time goes by, but they aren't. If it's a lasting wound, then it may never get better. Lasting? Aide Shim shouted anxiously. The doctor said, that could be the case, or not the case. Aide Shim called out, "Wait, doctor." Yian chuckled nervously, "What do I do?" "This isn't an illness, so it cannot be fixed either." After that day, she gained 2 fields of vision. A normal vision of things that she had always seen, and a second, made of light. Tears started running down her eyes. Yian wiped her tears and thought, "Oh, I've kept on being like this since coming out from underground. I can't just recklessly open my eyes. It's been 2 months since you've been confined underground in the all-knowing doctor's room after being caught up in a natural disaster, and not only that, you have gotten worse. Just how anxious must you be?" Aide Shim, shocked of Yian's condition, called out, "Mildy, let's go to the Namgung family." She looked up at Aide Shim, of course with her eyes closed, and thought, the Namgung family? Master Beckery and Master Namgung have both returned to their homes to request for support, so it'll take quite a bit for the news to reach them. Aide Shim wanted Yian to know that they did not abandon her. "So, if you set off for the Namgung family first, and recuperate under the care of a physician then." The sound of door clicked. Yian could tell it was Yayul. Come to think of it, why is he still here? A flashback of when Yian was swept by the landslide and had been covered. Her father voiced loudly, "Yian, we have to save Yian. Even if I have to bring all the family members from the main residence, right now, go." "No, I'll go there myself to request for support." "So how could Master Beckery be in the right mindset to take care of Yayul?" questioned Aide Shim. "Master Beckery entrusted Yayul in my care." "Oh." Yian finally had a picture of the situation. Aide Shim told Yian that he will be writing to inform both of the masters, so she can take a rest. Facing Yayul alone without others in the same room, Yian felt awkward. She thought of her father. He must have been quite worried. He needs to hear that she is alive as soon as possible. Yayul, staring at Yian, with a complicated emotion. He had a flashback of when she pushed him, and so knocked away towards her father. He turned back to look at Yian and witnessed how she was swept away by the landslide. The last image he remembers of her before she disappeared was a content smile on her face, as if she does not even care about her own safety, her own life. He asked, "Why did you save me?" "Huh?" Yian replied. "Is he talking about the landslide that happened then?" Yael said, "You don't like me?" His sentence shocked her speechless. For a moment, her heart sank. She should have denied that she don't dislike him, but she replied, "Because a person's life is precious." Yael countered, "My life is not precious though." And at that moment, she noticed his expression. The expression showed he's incredibly serenely, as if he was just telling an obvious truth, and was content with that truth. Yian called, "You, come over here." Yael is confused. He moved closer. She told him closer, a little closer, until he finally leaned right in front of her reach. She touched his face and moved her fingers to his forehead and flicked his forehead. Yael jolted and scooted backward, surprised of what she did, giving her the expression, "What did you do that for?" That expression somehow made her angry. She yelled, "I know that it doesn't hurt, all right? I don't mean to take credit for saving your life, but do you really want to talk nonsense in front of someone who came back from the brink of death? Are you unhappy about surviving?" "Huh?" Not satisfied, she scolded again. "I'm getting angry again just talking about it. Come here. Let's hit you one more time." Yael protected his head with both his hands, looking down guiltily, and moved closer to her. She questioned, "Are you really coming again just because I said so?" Frustrated that the person who killed her in the past life was so obedient this lifetime, she yelled, "I won't refuse it then. Let's hit you once more." Yael yelped. While she hit him again. Yian touched her head, frustrated. She thought she didn't make it obvious all these times. She didn't know that he was thinking like that. Yian crossed her arms and huffed, "My head hurts because of you, so I can't eat any more medicine. I'll eat it later." Her attitude caused Yael to be flustered, not sure how to console her. He could only say okay to her eating medicine later. Yian glanced at his flustered expression and thought, he is so different from the Yael that she remembers. It is no wonder that her head's throbbing. Just as things calmed down inside, Yian and Yael heard commotion outside. Yian asked Yael, "It's loud outside. What's going on?" Yael took her outside to see the commotion. A guard was shouting at someone, "How can I trust you and let you in? You already look suspicious as is, but not knowing your place, you still dare." The other guard answered, "Whatever, forget it. It's like talking to a wall. Just kick him out." Kneeling on the ground was poor little Sonak, who couldn't talk and did not make sense to the guards. Sonak noticed Yian coming from around the corner. He stood up, cried, and ran towards her. The guard grabbed him and scolded, "You rascal." He then proceeded to apologize to Yian and said that he'll properly kicked out the boy. Seeing Sonak's pitiful crying expression, yearning for her, she sighed and told the guard to let him down. The guard finally let Sonak down, and the moment he was freed, he ran toward Yian while crying. He hugged her, like a child who was separated from their mother for ages. Little Sonak kept gluing himself to Yian like little chicks sticking close to their mother. Yian sighed and asked him to let go of her. Yael stood on the side, radiating dark aura. Yian asked Yael to go somewhere else for a bit as she wanted some alone time with Sonak. Gloomed that he was asked to leave, but he still left at the end, and give Yian space. Once it was just two of them, Yian said, "I'm sure you weren't searching for me. You were looking for the all-knowing doctor, right?" Sonak shook his head. "No, but didn't you go around knowing that the all-knowing doctor's underground retreat was nearby?" she asked. Sonak nodded his head. "Well, sure. I don't know why you were looking for me, but I have something to tell you too." Yian felt nervous of the news she was going to tell him. She said, "Sonak, that's your name, right?" He nodded. As the all-knowing doctor didn't even have family, Sonak was the closest relation he had. That was the reason why she thought she should inform Sonak of the news, because that was the least she can do for the all-knowing doctor and Sonak. She turned to him and said, "The all-knowing doctor has passed." Tears streamed down Sonak's face and he bawled loudly. Yian didn't know how to comfort him. She wonders why the image of the child and that bird overlap each other. After letting Sonak grieve, she handed him a bag of money. "Take this. With the money, he will be able to live, adjusting to life in the village. With that, then she has truly done all that she can for him." Yian said she will be leaving then. Afraid of being abandoned, Sonak held on to her sleeve, not letting go. She assured him, "Don't worry. I heard they asked a villager to take care of you." He shook his head vehemently. "I too will also ask father to find a good adoptive father for you." Yayul was hiding around the corner of a building, peeking to watch them. He suddenly heard Yin yelled, "Wah! What are you doing? Wait. So, let go." He saw Sonak clinging onto her clothes, wouldn't let her go. Yayul sprung out from hiding and dashed towards the two. He grabbed onto Sonak's collars and lifted him up. Scared, Yin asked, "What is he doing?" Yayul replied, "He was about to knock you over." She reprimanded, "Still, how could you grab him hard by the collar like that?" "But, Yayul," she shouted, "release him this instant." He instantly let go. Sonak was coughing from the strangulation. Yin asked him if he is all right. Yayul nervously apologized for his action. Yin humphed, "But from your stare, you don't even know what you did wrong." Sonak grabbed onto her sleeve again, unable to utter what is truly in his heart. He can only act out what he wanted. Yin asked him, "You want to go with me?" Finally, she understood him. Sonak beamed happily. The carriage kept going forward toward its destination. Inside the carriage, Yayul asked Yin, why didn't she let that child follow her? That child? The chick. "Oh, Sonak?" she asked. "Because it's dangerous." "It's dangerous?" She explained, "The Bekri family is a Miram family. There's no reason to drag an ordinary person into that sort of place. In the next few years, there will be the great unorthodox demonic war as well. It will be even harder for her to guarantee Sonak's survival in those circumstances. Moreover, she does not want to be responsible for someone else when she cannot even protect a bird in her possession. With things already like that, she needed to let Yayul know too. Her standing in the Bekri family isn't that great. Right now, the people of the Namgung family are kind and treat her well, but the atmosphere will be a bit different when they return to the Bekri family. Yayul needed to keep that in mind. Back at the Bekri family, full of beautiful tree landscaping, nice, tall, majestic buildings, walking bridges, and clear blue river canal, Bekri Yikong stood alone, so in solitude, as if it was just him against the world. Sad and hurt, he reminisced of his time with his daughter, Yin. Looking down at the carps, he remembered the last time they strolled through the area. Yin asked, "Father, what thoughts do carps have as they live?" He replied, "Would creatures even have thoughts?" She stated, "I don't like the carp with that white fin." "How come?" he asked. "It's always stealing the other's food every time." "Is that so?" Yin stated cheekily, "Each carp has its own personality. Like, the one with the 2 red dots on its back always comes late when food arrives because it's lazy, while the red carp over there always takes first place whenever I give them food." His thoughts blackened when his half-sister demanded from him when he asked for help. She retorted, "I thought hard about it, and why don't you say something to father? To bring back Pyo and Nok. That child, Bekri Yin, isn't even here anymore. So there is no reason for my children to be at the high continuing darkness, is there? Other people ridiculed, and where is the Bagua village? Why did they even go there? Why did Milady have to die there and make things?" Another person gossiped, "What's it to us, having to go all the way there just to recover a corpse, phew." Bekri Yikong stood alone. In this expansive Bekri manor, he cannot find anyone who is sincerely worried or sad for Bekri Yin. To not cause ruin to the Bekri family, to not stir up trouble, he did his best. And yet, what is he to do about the discriminated treatment? Just as he was about to lose his self-control of the poor treatment. Someone called out, "Young master! Young master! Young master!" Yi Kong turned around and Ian Du was running towards him. "What's the matter?" Flustered, Ian Du announced, "Someone from the Namgung family came, and they said they have found Milady." Yi Kong wiped his tears with his sleeves. "I see. Where have they brought her to?" Startled, why would he ask that? Ian Du explained excitingly, "No, young master. That's not it. Milady is alive. They said she is alive." "Mr. Wan." Ian called out happily, raising her hand up for a hug. "Ian." Namgung Wan called out to her with a relief expression. He lifted her up and said, "You truly are safe." Ian laughed happily, he. Namgung Wan asked, "But what's with your eyes? Don't tell me. Did you lose your vision?" Ade Shim bowed. "I greet the young master. Milady's eyes are." Before Ade Shim could finish explaining, Namgung Wan pointed 2 fingers and asked, "Can you see this?" How many is it? 4? Her answer shocked everyone. Yian laughed. Ha ha ha. I'm just kidding. It's 2. She gestured a peace sign. Speechless of the prank, it took Namgung Wan a moment to scold. You're laughing? I apologized. Namgung Wan cried of happy tears and hugged Yian. Thank you for coming back. Thank you. Yian could only let him hug her and reel in the reality that she is truly still alive. The carriage continued to the Namgung family, while Yian explained the event that took place when she was buried underground. And so, while going through the all-knowing doctor's books, I found a way out of the royal mausoleum, which is why it took a long time. Namgung Wan looked as if he's in deep thought. I can't believe that the whole area was the site of an old royal mausoleum. Who knew that all-knowing doctor's platformed room would be there? Yian said, and, Mister, I'll give this to you. She opened the box revealing 2 medicinal bottles. Please check it out. He took a bottle and studied it. What is it? Don't tell me. This is clear chi oil? Clear chi oil, an eternal elixir in which 1 drop of it enhances one's internal energy. Namgung Wan started trembling in disbelief. I cannot believe they had 2 bottles of such a precious elixir. The all-knowing doctor's reputation wasn't in name only. You truly came out from the inside the all-knowing doctor's secret room. Yian stated that she is giving 1 bottle to her father and the remaining 1 goes to him. Stunned but only for a moment, he collected his emotion and handed the bottle back to Yian. I'm all right. Mister, your voice was shaking. It was in your head. Crossing his arms, he reproached. Just how do you see me? I'm not a rogue to the extent that I would covet something you've gotten after almost dying. Yian smiled. The clear chi oil is something that anyone in Murim would risk their lives to get their hands on. For him to be able to give that up, shall she say that's to be expected from her father's close friend? Yian held the bottle out. Come on, please take it. I said I don't need it. He responded. Yian clarified. No matter how precious they say the clear chi oil is, I think that Mr. Namgung, who did not give up on me until the end and found me, is more precious. So, please accept it. Yes. My arm's going to fall off. He could not refute her sincerity. A rascal like you. Thank you, Yian. He accepted the medicinal bottle from her. After days of riding the carriage, they had finally arrived at the Namgung residence, to the home of the protagonist of this world, to the home of Namgung Ryucheng. In the past, when Yian had stayed at the Namgung family residence, Namgung Ryucheng, who had gone for his maternal family's home, did not return for half a year. Both the Namgung patriarch and lady, so both weren't there, right? It does feel a bit leery to bring Yayul, the main villain, to the place where the protagonist lives. Yian sighed, but since they will be leaving after a month, it'll be fine, right? That is what Yian thought, but Namgung Wan greeted, I've returned, dear. Yian's mouth dropped, Agape. Namgung Wan's wife, Yang Sook, greeted, I'm glad that you've returned safely. I was worried because you had left with only a few guards to accompany you. Namgung Wan replied, it couldn't be helped as it was an urgent matter. Yian did not know why the mistress is present. Yang Sook asked, she is Baekri Yian. Yian introduced, hello, I'm Baekri Yian of the Baekri family. Yang Sook replied, yes, I heard you suffered quite a bit coming all the way here. Namgung Wan approached his wife and asked, where is Ryucheng? She replied, Ryucheng is training right now. Yian, occupied with lots of things, thought, Lady So being here means that Ryucheng is also here. Weren't they supposed to be at their maternal family's home? Namgung Wan scolded, what do you mean training right now? Did he not hear that I've returned? His wife replied with just a chuckle. The upset Namgung stated, he heard it and ignored it. I know without you even having to tell me. His wife laughed and answered, yes. Infuriated, Namgung turned away and scolded, I'm going to. Before he could complete his statement, his wife pulled him. Hoo-hoo, one moment. I too have a child to introduce you to. A child. Namgung Wan's wife gestured to the little girl. Say hello? She stared up to the tall Namgung and greeted, hello. I Seo Haryung of the Seo Yang sect. Yian's jaw dropped. If she's Seo Haryung, then isn't she the heroine of this story? Yian sat on the chair and analyzed. Things have developed differently from the past. It changed again, following Yayul and even the protagonist's moves. Anxiety hits her. From where did it start? I cannot even tell if this change is even a good effect. According to what was said earlier, Namgung Mucheol, the patriarch of the Namgung family, as well as one of the 10 strongest artists in the world, also seemed to be in the residence. Although I somehow did pull the wool over Mr. Wan's eyes, will it be possible to stay here, hiding Yayul from even one of the top 10? Ack. A voice groaned outside from the window. Ian turned around and wondered, what is it? A scream? Outside the window, Yayul grabbed Seo Haryung's hand. She shouted, what kind of? Oh. What kind of strength is? Let go. Oh. It hurts. Ian witnessed the commotion through the window and asked, what are you two doing? Yayul replied, while still holding on to her hand. She was snooping through the window like a rat. Seo Haryung snapped angrily. What do you mean, rat? I only came because I was just a bit curious. Ow. Anxious for the other girl, Ian yelled. Yayul. Softly. No. Let go first. Yayul instantly let go of Seo Haryung's hand. She stepped back, putting a distance between them. Ian reminded, we introduced ourselves earlier, right? I hope your wrist is all right, young lady. Seo Haryung kicked Yayul's leg, which stunned Ian. After the kick, she stormed off into the distance, leaving Yayul and Ian dumbfounded. Yayul asked, should I chase after her? Ian replied, huh? No. It's fine. Besides that, are you all right? He answered, yeah. Ian explained, young lady Seo is someone who's learning the sword, so you mustn't twist her wrist like that. Yayul nodded. She stated, the Seo Hyang sect is a large sect around here, and the leader of the sect is also famous. Seo Haryung is the daughter of that sect leader. Because Yayul is one of very few words, Ian wasn't sure if he truly understands. Enough with the sounds. Are you sure you really understood what I said? She questioned. Yayul remained silent and did not answer. Ian sighed and told him to go in to put on some ointment on his leg. He told her it's fine though. But it bothers Ian. Before that, attend to my business first. This startled both Yayul and Ian. They turned to look at the incoming person. It was an elderly bald man. Who is that? To approach like that without a single sign. Ian used her eyes and saw that his Dantian's cluster of light is the biggest from all the people she has met. He's incredibly strong. He approached Yayul and asked, oh ho, and who's this child? Flustered of the immensely opponent before him, Yayul took a few steps back. The old man shot a few energy strikes through his fingers at Yayul. With whose permission are you moving like that? The situation frightened Ian. She shouted, what are you doing right now? Ian stood up on the windowsill and plunged forward toward Yayul and the old man. She can see his movements, but it is not enough to turn her body away completely. She flew straight to his fingers where his power was accumulated and fell down the ground, clutching her chest in agony. It startled both Yayul and the bald old man. The old man asked, how can you just try to avoid it halfway? Ian, still clutching her chest, felt like her chest is burning. The old man asked her to stay still. I've pierced your lethal point, so if you can't undo it right this second, you will die. The old man strikes a few acupoints on Ian's body, causing her vision to get blurry. Seeing the different ceiling, Ian was finally awakened. Yayul was standing next to her, attending to her health. Just as she was starting to come around, the old man was sitting on the chair and scolded, if you're awake, then get right up. His scolding completely awakens her. Yayul asked, if she is, okay? Ian looked at him and saw that he is all right too. Yeah, she replied. Has his demonic technique been discovered? She questioned herself as she looked at the old man. On top of not even thanking an elder for saving your life, you have a very insolent stare. Oh. Ian humphed. No. Wait. He's the one who pierced my lethal points and almost killed me, yet. But he was too strong to argue with straight up. Ian swallowed down her frustration and thanked, sir. Thank you for your grace. The old man replied. All right. She asked, who are you, sir? He crossed his arms and asked, who do you think an elder like me is? F you. Come on, this man. Seriously. Inner Ian scolded. Pretended to be patient, she asked, pardon? Humph. Who would be the old man who could walk around this house as he pleases? I think I've given you enough clues with this. You still cannot guess who? Ian thought hard, and a clue came to mind. No way. Are you the Namgung family patriarch? The old man straightened up haughtily, satisfied with the answer. He's really the Namgung family patriarch? Yin finally changed her attitude and became serious. She stood up and bowed. I will formally introduce myself. I am. It's fine. Just sit comfortably, the old man interrupted. But what brought you here, sir? I won't say much. Hand me the clear chi oil. The old man ordered. What? Yin was dumbfounded. Don't try to say you don't have it, as I know you already have it. Yin reasoned. Even if I do have it, why do I have to give it to the Namgung family patriarch? The old man brushed his beards and retorted, it'll be best to hand it over while I'm still being nice. Isn't it something that you, too, have also stolen from the all-knowing doctor anyway? Yin stated, no, I received permission from the all-knowing doctor. Since she even received the ability from the all-knowing doctor, then it is all her. Humph. The old man laughed, ah. The all-knowing doctor gave that to you? Ah. He slammed his fist on the table, caused cracks to appear. You have quite the nerve, don't you? Yeah, you'll shield Yin from the aura radiating from the old man. Isn't it enough that you dared bring someone who has learned demonic techniques into the Namgung family, but you're even trying to trick me? Quietly give it up while I'm speaking nicely. Yin panicked. Oh dear, she's been caught with regards to Yael. She stated, Yael is not a demonic cult follower. He just had no choice but to learn demonic techniques. The old man snapped, there's an excuse for everything. No one will be able to say anything even if an elder like me just rips you two to shreds here. Yin replied, you intend to start a war with the Baekri family? The old man stood up and walked toward Yin. Humph. Do you think that I wouldn't know that you aren't even treated properly at the Baekri family? Hand over the clear chi oil. Then I'll turn a blind eye to that scoundrel. What do you think? Of course, if you reject, you'll have to forfeit your life. Yin, in deep thought of the best action to take, finally told him to take it. Instead, please guarantee Yael's safety. Guarantee? Yes. That I mean is that if Yael's demonic techniques are revealed, you'll have to protect him. Father turned a blind eye to Yael's abilities because he was worried about me. And he wasn't even able to tell Namgung Wan Mister because of my treatment either. Humph. So. The old man replied happily. Yin grabbed the chest box. Even if the Namgung family knows about Yael, you just have to make sure that it doesn't negatively impact Father. She opened the chest box and the old man looked greedily at the medicinal bottle. All right. I'll guarantee it. Yin closed the chest box before the old man can grab the clear chi oil. Frustrated, he yelled, are you messing around with an elder right now? Yin covered her mouth and replied, that's not it. There's something I need to make sure of. Sir, you are not the Namgung family patriarch, are you? You rascal. If you're trying to play tricks here. Yin answered, I didn't say I wouldn't give it to you. It's just, please give an undeniable guarantee for Yael's safety with your full name as well. Yael blushed shyly of the ultimatum Yin requested. If you make that clear, then I won't ask any further questions, she said. The old man left with a satisfied posture. Yin, peeking behind the house pole, he's finally leaving. Still, she smirked contently, although she regrets it being taken from her. She is glad that she had one knowing that would happen. She did leave one for herself, just in case, but she should give it to Father, right? While Yin was feeling proud of herself, Yael was shrouded with glooms. Yin turned around and asked what is wrong with him. Yael just kept feeling more and more despair to the deep end, digging a hole to bury himself. No matter how much Yin called his name, he just would not respond. Yin patted his back and called him again. The despair Yael finally uttered, it's because of me. Yin said, Chanson Yongjia, the former Scarlet Devil. That is the identity of that darn elder. In short, it means that it is not your fault. No matter how incredible your true strength is, it's impossible to simply come and go from the Namgung residence, which is filled with masters all over, with ease. Then, a person who from the beginning was permitted to walk freely around the Namgung residence, and someone who could find out the fact that she had 2 bottles within half a day, then, there is only one person left. The sworn brother of the Namgung family patriarch, Namgung Mucheol, Chanson Yongjia. Yin sighed and guessed it's still the time when Chanson Yongjia was still alive. Yael had no clue what the hell Yin was thinking. He asked, who is Kyosin Yongjia? Surprised, she asked, you don't know? Yeah, he replied. Yin explained. He is one of the 11th strongest men in the world, but he's a peculiar man who isn't orthodox or unorthodox, and is infamous for living as he pleases. Anyway, should I say, a very strong and eccentric person? Yayul's spirit felt even more down. Ian smiled and called out to him, Yayul, yours is a life saved by the clear chi oil. Now you cannot say that your life has no value. His eyes, finally, revived, full of life, for the first time. He bended to hug her tightly. Feeling his grateful emotions, Ian could only allow him to hug her momentarily and patted his back to comfort him. The next day, she was invited to have dinner at the Blue Hall. Ian was stunned at how gorgeous the place was. When she arrived, everyone was already seated. She even came early on purpose, too. Ian apologized for being late. It's fine. We just came early because we had something to discuss. Don't worry about it, replied the old man. Ian noticed his internal chi. It is similar to Kiesin Yomjie, and his eyes are the same as Mr. Namgung Wan. This person is really the family patriarch. Ian bowed. I, Bekri Yun of the Bekri family, greet the members of the Namgung family. Namgung Wan's wife gestured. Over there is my son, Namgung Ryuchung. Namgung Ryuchung. Her eyes widened as the flashback of her first meeting with him in the past life. She was still wearing the same memorial clothes she worn during her father's service memorial. She met Ryuchung, tears streaming down his face. He asked, Are you, young lady Bekri Ian? Right now, she is the only one who remembers that. Hi, she greeted Ryuchung. According to the original novel, she fell for Ryuchung, and so, she did all sorts of bad things, struggling to capture his heart. So, she was a bit worried, but seeing how he ignored her existence completely, Ian was confident. Yep, there's no need to worry about falling for him at all. That punk. Now, she rejects having a miserable life like the original novel. Namgung Wan admonished Ryuchung's attitude, that little. His wife tried to calm him down. Now. She turned to Ian and said, Please take your seat as well, young lady Bekri. Ian sat down and begged, Please continue to act like I don't exist. That's what she thought. But why? Why does Haryung kept staring at her? Haryung's bright, beaming, admiring stares causes Ian to feel nervous. We are now caught up with the manhwa. Please like, share, subscribe for faster release of your favorite manhwa.